podcast is now live.
That's right. Today is January 13th, 2026. You're listening to MMO number 102, and from the great city and state of St. Louis, Missouri.
Nope, that's wrong.
201.
It's 202.
202. Dyslexia. What a bear. Okay. That was fun. It's been a long time since we've had a false start, huh?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I got to check something.
He's checking something. Oh, boy. Oh, boy, indeed. John is checking. He's checking on something. What is it? We don't know. It could be his mail. Could be his pants.
Okay, let's try it again. Let's get it on.
Get it on.
It must be quite apparent by this time to any thinking individual that the people of our country and people of other countries all over the world are coming to face a moment of grave decision.
Come in, Confluence.
The time when we will choose the course of our future.
Oklahoma, Texas,
Confluence, are you there?
Philadelphia,
Yep.
around the world, it's gonna be a big nut.
Can you not hear the intro?
We have lost connection to Confluence. Oh, here we go.
I was doing the intro. I
don't hear it.
Yeah, I just looked at my thing. It said I was muted. Third time's a try. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
You know what? This is because you said get it on before 5:30. It was 5:29 when you said get it on, and it was bad juju.
Yeah, okay.
All right, my bad. All right, here we go. What's that thing you say?
Let's get it on.
Get it on.
It must be quite apparent by this time to any thinking individual that the people of our country and people of other countries all over the world are coming to face a moment of grave decision. The time when we will choose the course of our future.
Oklahoma, Texas, New York, Philadelphia, around the world, it's gonna be a big nut bust.
The Millennial Media Offensive podcast is now live.
That's right. Today's January 13th, 2026. You're listening to MMO number 202, and from the great city and state of St. Louis, Missouri. I'm Dan Gehring.
And from America's South Coast, where unless I'm situating the monitor, I'm monitoring the situation, I'm John G. Dew.
You know, Elise asked me that because I've been saying that a lot. She's like, what are you doing? Or what are you thinking about? And I've been saying monitoring the situation. And she goes, is that a thing? Or is that just a thing that you and your geopolitic nerd friends talk about? And I said both.
It is a meme.
Yeah, it has become a meme. Monitoring the situation. I love it. I love the the old "Are you winning, son?" meme with
Yes.
Instead of the dad, it's the wife or the girlfriend. It's like, are you done monitoring the situation? No, never.
The situation never ends.
It's one of those years where it's been like the last couple of weeks. You know, there's periods of time where nothing happens, and then it's like constant situation monitoring all the time. There's always something popping off. And last week was no different.
Yeah, and then you get these weeks in the wake of things happening where those things are still being discussed, but there are very few new details to discuss. So you just get the same rehashing of events in the media, and it makes it difficult to find a diversity of topics. And you end up having to, revisit things that we've already talked about. Like, I don't think much of our analysis from last week on Iran is going to be that much different tonight.
No, we were talking about the protests last week in Iran and how they're ongoing. And it's pretty much been, well, we're going to do something about it. Trump waving his fist at Iran. And people are like, well, what are we going to do? He's like, I'm not going to tell you. It seems like, though, we might be within 48 hours of striking them.
That's what he's implying.
Yeah.
I saw, right before we went live, I saw a claim that Trump said if Iran hangs any protesters, we would intervene, which a week
which
ago...
is a marked difference between
shooting
and killing.
Yes. Yeah, which I'm not convinced of this, but that shift in a red line for Trump, it's the first indicator to me that this might be over.
What might be over?
The Iran situation. It may already be over on the ground.
Like we've done something, or the
No,
protest
no.
is quelled and the regime
It's quelled.
stands?
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, there has been internet blackout for the past 4 or 5 days in Iran. No communications. My indirect family member hasn't been able to contact anyone, and no one's been able to contact them in Iran. So it's concerning, to say the least. But yeah, there's a lot of fake information coming out. I shared a post to you that suggested we had moved B-2 bombers to Diego Garcia, just south of India, and that was false. That was not.
Yeah,
real.
moments later, you you sent a correction.
I go, yep. Turns out that's fake information. There's really not a lot that can be known. The number of protesters killed I've seen has gone from like 26, then it was in the 200s, 400s, and then it jumped up to like 2,000, 4,000. So I don't think anyone knows what's going on right now.
Yeah, well, they don't. And that's why, and I'm sort of jumping the shark here, that's why you get these numbers coming out of protesters killed, and anyone who has the discernment to ask, well, where do these numbers come from, find that they come from an activist group based, I believe, out of D.C. So they don't know. They don't know anything.
They're estimating. An interesting thing is all of a sudden, I think sometime today, telecoms were restored in Iran for a short period of time, and then information was able to get out. So we are told, which is unique because it really feels more of like an activist group saying, oh, things are really bad. Okay, I got to go. They're turning off the phone again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, not to get too far ahead, I do have some Iran clips lest we have a short show. So I feel like since we're already jumping down this topic hole, we should play some of them.
That's right. Let's dive into this topic hole.
A topic hole, if you will.
That's right.
First, I've got a report from BBC with two, and you get into anytime you have something like this happening, there are particular flags you can look for that will tell you that the people reporting these things actually don't know much at all. I mean, it's really just a bunch of know-nothings guessing with authority. That's a lot of what it's a lot. We don't guess with authority, but people who get
Lou. Hello. Hard internet outage. Not sure what happened. Is anyone there? Here I am. No audio. Audio on MMO, but not MMO stream. Connecting back. Hello, 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 Internet. Hello, world. It's DJ Horseshoe. Let me refresh my clean feed here. Hey, John. Can you hear me? John?
Actually don't know much at all. I mean, it's really just a bunch of get paid more than we do. That's the first one I have is a human interest.
Are we live? We are live. Yes, technical difficulties. John G. Do is back. Hello, John. Can you hear me, John? John. I can hear John. He can't hear me. We are live on both things. Oh, right. Yeah. No audio on MMO stream. Is that still correct? John. If he doesn't have his headphones on or something like that, that's going to be insane. Hello.
Hey.
Hey, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ooh, wow. You're
back.
You got a vacuum going on or something?
Yeah. That's actually a U.S. Special Forces team with an audio acoustic weapon.
Ooh, I don't like it. They're saying no audio on MMO stream right now. So I'm going to do something and check. Hello. Oh, yeah. We are live on the MMO stream. It's just delayed, it sounds like. Are you there? Oh, he muted himself. This is what doing it live is like, folks. Sometimes this happens. I think we are probably still broadcasting to the other live streams. Perfect. Still live on No Agenda, which is good. Just started coming through. Perfect. Thank you, Jay Radical. Thank you, everybody. Minor technical difficulties. My internet just went out hard. And evidently I'm chatting with Christian from Spectrum Internet. He says, hey, there are no outages reported in the area. He's like, did you do this? I go, yes. I'm 33. I'm not 85 years old. I don't need you to walk me through the reset process that you do for old people. I know when things aren't working because it's not working and not because my cat chewed the Ethernet cable or something. But John, you've muted yourself. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yes, I'm aware. I'm unmuted now. The vacuum noises should be a thing of the past.
They are indeed. They are indeed. See, we're about to play a clip. You want me to play in?
Yeah, just well, did I say the name of the or is it going to be a smooth transition if we just play the clip?
So you said this is the last thing I have of you.
But the first one I have is...
So you could probably just
perfect.
Say that again.
Yeah, well, I'll take a short break for you to put a marker down, and I'll say the name of the clip.
Perfect.
Iran human interest, BBC.
Hold on.
Okay, holding.
3, 2, 1.
Iran human interest, BBC.
Ah, yes, right here.
Let's return now to the situation in Iran. One human rights group says it believes 650 people have been killed so far amid a crackdown by authorities on anti-government demonstrations. But it says the real figure is likely to be much higher. There's an internet blackout in the country, which one monitoring agency says has lasted more than 100 hours. The BBC has identified at least 67 cities across Iran where protests have been taking place, including the capital, Tehran. BBC Persian has managed to find out more about some of those who've died. Here's Gia Gul.
Rubinia Aminian, a 23-year-old Kurdish student at university in Tehran, was studying fashion design and dreamed of moving to Milan to pursue a career in fashion. Like many of her generation who challenged the regime's social restrictions on women, she refused to remain silent or stay confined to her university accommodation. On Thursday, Rubina joined the protest. 2 days later, her father and mother were called to Tehran to identify her body in the morgue. Rubina's aunt spoke with us from Norway.
The security forces did not want to release Robina's body. My sister snatched her and took her daughter into her arms and held her for 4 hours as she drove back to her hometown in Kurdistan. The security forces then refused to allow her to bury her daughter in their city, and they did not permit a funeral.
Okay, so a couple of things to pick up here. Did you notice, and I know this is just a university-aged girl, but did you notice the ethnicity they mentioned?
I didn't know.
Kurdish.
The girl that was killed is Kurdish?
Yes.
Mm.
So there could very well be a larger game at play here in motivating people from that community, as we discussed in the last show, how the Kurds could be utilized in this struggle in Iran. And I thought that piqued my interest to hear that particular human interest story leading one of the BBC's reports on Iran. And then also we have another interesting angle or another interesting piece of information here. When they returned to what they describe as Kurdistan, they weren't allowed to have a funeral. Now, I don't know exactly where this is that they're referencing, because as we know, there's no officially recognized Kurdistan that I'm aware of anyway, unless they're talking about, you know, one of these border towns in northwestern Iran, which could very well be the case, and that would explain why security forces would still have sway over what they do with the body when they return home with it.
Right. In that Turkey, like the Tabriz area is probably
Yes.
heavily Turkish.
But I do find it interesting that we're getting the name Kurdistan in this report. Am I the only one who is unaware of where this Kurdistan is supposed to be that the BBC is referencing?
I think it's the general region that's understood to be Kurdistan. You know, Turkey,
Yeah.
Syria, Iraq.
I'm sure, but you know, are we recognizing Kurdistan? What are we doing here? And maybe I'm fixating too closely on this. So let's. Yeah, I had mentioned that there are a few flags to watch for when the media outlets really don't know much. One is the human interest story. Another is their attempt to report on social media open source intelligence. So this is the report on pictures out of Iran.
Our diplomatic correspondent Caroline Hawley's been looking at some of the limited pictures we've received.
Whatever happens next, the Iranian people have written themselves into the history books. It's not the first time that they've risen up against their religious rulers, and it's not the first time that they've been met with really brutal repression. But the ferocity of the crackdown has really shocked many Iranians. There's been an internet blackout, so the picture we have is really far from complete. The BBC's identified at least 67 cities where protests have been taking place across Iran. Let's take a closer look at the capital, Tehran. Verified by BBC Persian on the 8th of January, shows anti-government protesters in Golhak, an affluent residential area in northern Tehran. A building's on fire, smoke billowing. Several mosques in this neighbourhood were set on fire. These images, shared on social media and independently verified by the BBC, show a government building on fire in Karaj, northwest of the capital, on the evening of the 9th of January. Drivers in cars slow down to take a look at the shell of the building alight. This video, posted on social media on the 10th of January, shows thousands of protesters gathering in Tehran's Punak Square, with the sounds of cheering and clapping filling the night air. Then these images emerged, filmed at a morgue outside Tehran. This is just one morgue. We know there have been protests right across the country. The regime's under pressure from inside and out, and it's desperate to do whatever it can to ensure its own survival, while millions of Iranians are equally desperate for freedom.
Yeah, I've seen some of the photos, and again, I can't verify the validity of them, but there seem to be a lot of people in body bags and a lot of people standing around the body bags.
Yes, and, we've heard makeshift morgues in conjunction with these images. But I'm a little skeptical. I'm sure there are people who have died because there are videos of individuals with rifles and shotguns in the Iranian streets, and it's not clear who they're shooting at. Now, the Western media isn't addressing this. They've made a
started to
peep about it.
Have
they?
Little bit of coverage on the daytime.
Well, the Iranians are all over it. They are saying these are basically foreign agents that are indiscriminately killing civilians in the crowds in an attempt to incite more riots.
Oh, so I've heard them. I haven't heard that claim from them, but I did hear that the rioters themselves are foreign agents, or at least being gassed up by foreign agents.
Yeah, the claim out of the mullahs is that these are the foreign agents, the ones with the weapons, the ones firing, and they're firing on the protesters to incite more violence.
That is an interesting take.
Yeah, and the bottom line is that we haven't, you said they're starting to broach the topic, but we haven't really seen a narrative coalesce around what this aspect of the rioters are. At the same time, you have Trump walking back his red line, and also just a few, today at some point, said some pretty ambiguous things about how bad the Iranian state had actually been acting. So it's very much a fog of war situation where no one knows much at all. And I have to imagine Trump knows a little bit more than most. So it's interesting to see his progression from we're locked and loaded to, well, we're not so sure anymore. Which is continually fueling this idea of mine, this inkling that I have that on the ground, this is over. It's done.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I don't know. It's impossible for any of us to know, but yeah, except act on feelings. I don't want it to be over. In my heart, I really want Iran to turn over. I think that would just be an ultimate win for everyone. except for terrorists.
Well, I don't disagree with you. But as we discussed at length last show, there's a real problem in what happens after the mullahs are gone. You know, who could take over? Who would? And
the guy
how
that's been
would
living in D.C. for the past 50 years.
Doing an insane media blitz the last few days.
Yeah, on every show. It's him and Nick Shirley on every show.
Yeah, it really is. It's Minneapolis and Tehran, or Tehran and Snowgadishu.
You know, Nick Shirley might actually be smarter than the Shah's son of Iran, the Prince of Iran, which is
potentially.
It does not bode well for the intelligence of the prince.
Yeah. So I do have one clip of Norah O'Donnell with the Shah on CBS. I wanted to pull more of this. I think there's a 40-minute full interview, and there are several interviews, but I wanted to pull what his talking points were and just wasn't able to swing it. But I do have this one clip. This is Norah with the Shah on CBS.
The death toll is rising in Iran. This violent crackdown continues just as it has in past attempted revolutions. I mean, is it responsible to be sending citizens in Iran to their deaths? Do you bear some responsibility?
As I said, this is a war, and war has casualties. In fact, in order to preserve and protect and minimize the death toll, minimize innocent victims yet again be killed by this regime, action is needed. The regime is going to try and brutalize its citizenry as it has always done. But we are in a fight for liberation. I didn't ask the people to come to the streets to fight against the regime because I wanted so. They asked me to step in to help them and to be their voice on the outside world, to do everything that we can so we make this uprising successful this time. And I think we have some serious leaders that understand what is necessary, that understand the ask of the Iranian people and are responding to that. I think President Trump is responding to the call that the Iranian people have. The Iranian people have heard his words. They are naming streets after him in Iran. There's a difference. They know he's no Barack Obama or Joe Biden. And that's why they do have a higher expectation. And we'll see what happens. And as you say, I think the president has a decision to make fairly soon. We're doing what we need to do regardless of whether help will come or not. I'm just stating that the best way to ensure that there will be less people killed in Iran is to intervene sooner so this regime finally collapses and puts an end to all the problems that we are facing. We are at war, and we have to make sure that we are victorious.
I don't know if it'll put an end to all the problems you're facing.
No.
The economy's still going to be shit.
It will just greatly change the problems you're facing.
Right. I'm trying to find this information of Trump pulling back that line. Exiled, this is 48 minutes ago, exiled Crown Prince of Iran tells protesters help is on the way. I think he's just relying on Trump here.
He's just parroting Trump.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, and that's really the only honest analysis of the actual riots and potential revolution is we don't know. We'll see. It'll play out. The internet will open back up, and you'll see the information war from all sides of this issue. And probably next week we'll have a lot more material to dissect and really get our heads around what actually happened here.
Right.
So in the meantime, let's speculate on some things.
Okay.
I have a clip here. This is from today. This is the updated numbers clip, and this is a clip that will back up my discussion earlier about these numbers that are just being thrown around from these activist groups out of Washington.
Well, body bags overflowing at the morgues, total internet blackout, and now potential U.S. strikes. The death toll rising dramatically in just the last 24 hours as anti-government protests grip Iran. At least 2,000 people have been killed. That's according to an NGO that's tracking the numbers. A plummeting currency and skyrocketing cost of living also adding to all the chaos. And despite an internet blackout, a handful of chilling videos leaking onto social media, including this one of family members consoling each other outside the morgue, right there trying to identify their loved ones. We've also been hearing eyewitness accounts from people in touch with those in the region, including Dr. Masa Tehrani, a D.C.-based physician who's been speaking with family, friends, and patients of hers inside Iran. Here's one video that she shared with us, sent from one of her patients there in Iran. Dr. Masa Tehrani also serves as an advisor to the National Union for Democracy in Iran and joins me here on set. That one video sent to you by your patient, what were they saying as they were going through the streets?
Thank you for having me, Kira. It was chaos. It was bone-chilling, the recollections that these patients are sending me in their voice messages, the ones who have access to Starlink. They are saying, run away, hide your faces. They're afraid of being shot because these savage animals are shooting them. They're massacring them. And you mentioned the reports are saying 2,000, but we have unofficial reports that over 12,000 people have been massacred by the Islamic Republic because of these protests.
So 650, 2,000, 12,000.
Yeah, it's
just kind of
there's no proving any of this out.
No. Even after the fact, even after the fact, it will be hotly debated how many people died in Iran. And even though there will be little evidence for any claim, it'll be stated as fact. So be conscious of that. One thing that we do know, and this is a technological development, Starlink has been jammed, at least in one instance, successfully by Iran, which was thought to be pretty difficult to do because it's coming from low Earth orbit satellites. But DW has a piece on it, and here is the Starlink jammed clip.
Now, since last Thursday, the Iranian government has imposed an internet blackout and cut off many telephone services. That means limited images are coming out of Iran. This one is one of the latest videos showing a protest in the capital, Tehran. It was uploaded on Monday, though it's uncertain when it was actually shot. Analysts say the regime has also been attempting to jam Starlink, one of the technologies Iranians have been using to sidestep the restrictions on communication. And for more, we can speak now to Doug Midori. He's the Director of Internet Analysis at Kentic. That's an internet monitoring company, and he's joining us from New Hampshire in the US. Welcome, Doug. Can you give us an idea, first of all, about the situation on the ground in Iran? Does the internet blackout mean that people are completely cut off?
Yeah, the country is completely cut off. This is the most severe outage we've ever seen. And there's been a few prior to this past week. I think probably November 2019 was a high water mark for extreme internet shutdown in this country. But this one is most severe, mostly because voice lines were down. The internal communication was also taken out. So I think we can interpret this as the regime is very concerned about the protests.
Okay. And let's continue that with some discussion of the internet infrastructure in Iran.
Now, the limited information that has come out of Iran during the first days of the shutdown was transmitted via Starlink. I believe that is now also jammed. Can you tell us more about that and how people had been accessing it?
Yeah, so I've been in touch with a lot of Iranian digital rights researchers. They've been building infrastructure for a number of years now to try to be able to communicate to the outside world in the event of this kind of scenario. So those images that we're seeing are really the fruits of that labor. But Starlink's a key piece of that capability. It's really the only way, or any other satellite connection, but really it's just Starlink is the only way to get out a connection. And uh, so yeah, so the government has been trying to, the Iranian government has really been very upset about the fact that Starlink is operating without their authorization in the country. It is a lifeline to a lot of people, but so they've been trying to argue with the ITU, with the international organizations. They passed a law to anybody caught using a Starlink terminal could be tried for espionage. And then most recently, they've been starting to try to jam the signal. I think it's a little early to understand exactly how they're implementing this, for those of us on the outside. But it depends on where you are in the country. It seems like if you're in highly populated areas, that's kind of where they're focused on trying to use some sort of electronic warfare to prevent the Starlink signals from connecting.
Yeah, I found an article on ndtv.com, and it's saying there's two approaches. You can screw with the GPS signals of cell phones and computers, which would then prevent Starlink from working properly, or you'd have to have just straight up jamming, just pretty much blanketing various frequencies with noise to prevent any sort of connection.
Yeah, but this is interesting. It's an interesting piece of this to see Starlink actively jammed because, Elon was sending Starlink to Ukraine for them to use, and I don't think we saw many reports about any failures or shortcomings from the Ukrainians using Starlink. And then we get this in Iran where, I was seeing reports of 80% packet loss, which is basically scrambled.
Yeah, you can't get anything in and out through that. Oh, I experienced a little bit of that when we went down for a couple of minutes here. But yeah, it is intense because you don't know what's going on. You can only rely on what people are telling you, and a lot of the information that is being published is false online. Again, the bombers in Diego Garcia. This video shows Iran, and then, oh, no, it doesn't. It's actually from 2012 in Pakistan. A lot of that stuff is going on. I do think that there are people that are dying in Iran, and I don't know. I do know that the Persian people themselves are kind of fed up with the Islamic extremists, the RGC and whatnot. But you don't know, and we can't talk to anybody to see if that is actually the case.
Yeah, and you have groups like Hezbollah painting the protests, the riots, as pro-regime in Iran. People are rioting for their regime. So you can see the diametric uses of the raw information, that there are riots and that people are dying. You can see how that information is being used to people's to further whatever ends the people putting that information out have. Well, let's mention a couple of things here. Actually, let's wrap up this internet piece with a clip called Other Options, and then we'll talk about a few more things.
Are there any other options for Iranians to connect to the outside world?
They could leave.
Not really. So what they're doing right now is they're implementing what we call kind of a whitelisting scenario where everything's down except for a few either favored people with connections to the regime, or in the last day or two, they announced that there's going to be a handful of websites that are accessible to Iranians that are on an approved list, but everything else is out. And so the options are going to be limited. I wouldn't discount the ingenuity of the engineers in Iran to try to come up with some way to maybe leverage some of these openings to communicate to the outside world. But as far as the 90+ million people of the country, I think they're offline for the time being.
Okay, and what about from outside of Iran? I mean, is there anything being done or that can be done to bring people there back online and into communication somehow?
Yeah, there's been discussion of like trying to smuggle in more satellite terminals. I think that could be very difficult right now. And at this point, I think we're relying on all the work that's been done up until now to try to create channels for communication. It's not clear. It is a difficult situation. It's very hard from the outside to help create more communications capability after the shutdown has begun.
All right, we'll leave it there. But thanks so much for your analysis. That's Doug Midori from the internet monitoring company Kentic.
Thank you.
So just a few arrows, if you will, to add to this discussion. Trump on Air Force One made the comment that people who weren't supposed to be killed were killed in Iran. And I think that's just cryptic enough that we could use it to say he's talking about this or that. He could be talking about agents on the ground who the West or Israel thought were fairly secure, and they weren't. He could be talking about civilians. He could be talking about protected political figures, the kind of figures that have basically a gentleman's understanding that they're not to be targeted, which we saw recently with Ukraine targeting one of Putin's residences with drones. And that was a big to-do between the U.S. and Russia after Ukraine did that, because there are these agreements that, target what you will, but we have an understanding that there are untouchables in these conflicts. So that was one of Trump's more cryptic remarks. What wasn't so cryptic was Trump's former head of the CIA, Mike Pompeo, saying Happy New Year to everyone rioting in Iran and all of the Mossad agents standing next to them, which I take could be two things. One, it could be what most people on the internet are saying is, it's admitting that Mossad is all over Iran and spurring these protests. It could also be reverse psychology to try to make Iran and Iran's leadership, more paranoid and act more paranoid.
So, I mean, if I'm thinking about this, and before you brought up that Mossad connection, I'm thinking, where are we getting most of our intel on Iran from? Probably Israel. Who benefits from Iran getting bombed, other than, maybe the people that want the regime to fall in Israel? So that could be playing a major case into this, is most of our intel is coming from Iran. There is actual death on the ground, which would kind of confirm these claims, but perhaps we're dealing with another 50 beheaded babies claim.
Perhaps. Now, along with Israel, you have to think about some of the Gulf states as well, because there are some Gulf states that are opposed to Iran and could benefit from Iran or the mullahs' downfall as well. The UAE has been pursuing sort of a pragmatic engagement with the mullahs, but the Saudis are, I don't know if I would say diametrically opposed to Iran, but they're no friends of Iran.
Well,
and,
they're
we've
more
had
friends of the U.S. than they are Iran, which is, kind of...
Right.
So I think to that point, we've talked about kind of Trump securing the Western Hemisphere, pulling the U.S. sort of out of the Middle East, and people jockeying for position, specifically on the other side of the peninsula, the Strait of Hormuz.
Yes.
So what I thought was interesting is there is a security alliance that was formed between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. Now, if you haven't,
Let me ask you to look again at a map.
So Saudi Arabia and Pakistan are kind of on the eastern and western flank of Iran, respectively. Or not respectively, actually the exact opposite. Saudi on the west, Pakistan on the east. And I saw a clip today that Turkey is wanting to join the Saudi-Pakistan security alliance or security pact, kind of like an Article 5 guarantee. Turkey, of course, borders Iran to the north, on the northern tip. And so it seems like there's now this push to create a Middle Eastern NATO, and their first action is to surround Iran.
Well, it could also be posturing for a potential future carving up of Iran.
Yeah, like the Kurdistan that we heard about.
Right.
So that would be interesting. And, I don't think the Persian people, because they are, there's probably pockets of Kurds, definitely in northern Iran, but there's also large amounts of Persians in northern Iran. So
right.
It would probably be interest. But who benefits from, Syria's a rump state. Let's see here. Afghanistan's a rump state. Iraq's a rump state. So you have all of these rump states now, and you have these large kind of developed nations, Turkey, Saudi Arabia. I'm hesitant to say Pakistan is a developed nation, but evidently they've got a lot of good nuclear technology, kind of surrounding these rump states, and to make Iran the great Satan of the Middle East a rump state. Israel benefits, but then these stronger players, Saudi Arabia is trying to position itself as the United States in the Middle East. We saw that 2 weeks ago with Yemen when we were talking about the UAE and Yemen shadow war. The Saudi forces have actually pushed back the separatist forces that were trying to get the southern part of Yemen. And so now Saudi's guys are in control of the entire peninsula. And that's the
rather
Yemenese
quickly.
Government, very quickly. So it's kind of interesting because now you have Israel benefiting from Iran going down, but you also have Saudi Arabia, who is a part of the Abraham Accords, Turkey, who's a part of the Abraham Accords, and Pakistan. Turkey, Saudi, and Pakistan, of course, are all Muslim-majority countries. But they're all surrounding it, and it gives credence to this return of the, to borrow the term from John Mearsheimer, 19th century power politics returning. And it seems like that's kind of what's happening, is that surrounding of Iran and getting ready for the next phase of Iran. So I think the fall of Iran, at least, is being viewed as highly probable by a lot of people in the region.
Yeah, I think so. What does Polymarket say about it?
Polymarkets has Kamini out. It was about 50% this week. See if they pulled back at all.
22% right now.
By the 31st. Is there a significant drop there? No. March 31st is showing 46% chance.
We've got a 67% chance that U.S. or Israel strike Iran by the end of the month.
I agree. I think that's going to happen. I think we are going to strike Iran before the end of the month. I would bet on that if I could. Right now, Polymarket is only open to the United States for sports betting. Isn't that fun?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that, as I said earlier, not too much new information on Iran. We know that this is all ongoing and a bit foggy, but we're going to do our best to stay on top of it. And if anything happens over the course of this show, we will definitely let you know about the happening.
Yeah. The Middle East is interesting. I really, really, really want Iran to fall. I want the Persians to be free. But alas, who knows? Who knows?
We will sooner or later.
Sure thing.
Now, the only other, well, it's the, it's the domestic and the foreign, the two major news stories. So I'm tempted to ask you to take us somewhere else abroad, because the only other large package I have is the ice package, the Minneapolis, the Snowgadishu package.
I think
as,
we should jump back to domestic because these are the two hot items that people want to hear
They
about.
are.
Yeah.
They really are. Okay, well, I've got an NBC clip to kick us off. Protests, ICE, Minneapolis.
Tonight, mayhem in a Minneapolis neighborhood. Anti-ICE protesters banging on federal officers' vehicles who deployed tear gas to disperse crowds. This officer appearing to pepper spray someone out the window of a moving van.
Look at this behind me. You can see people arguing with that Border Patrol agent, with this federal officer. We're seeing scenes like this popping up across Minneapolis.
I'm mad. I'm very mad.
You're mad right now?
Yes. Well, not right now. I've been mad.
And this video showing immigration officers pulling someone out of a car who they say was impeding enforcement operations. The Trump administration now surging hundreds more federal law enforcement officers to the city.
The weaponization of a vehicle, a deadly weapon against our law enforcement. We're seeing that's becoming a more and more common tactic.
DHS touting the work of federal officers in Minneapolis the last few days, saying they've arrested criminal suspects in the U.S. illegally, including with convictions for sexual assault of a child, rape of a child, homicide, and manslaughter.
What are they out there protesting for? They are actively trying to impede law enforcement operations and end the President Trump's mandate to deport illegal alien criminals from our communities.
But Minnesota Democrats now suing to block the surge in officers here.
This is, in essence, a federal invasion of the Twin Cities and Minnesota, and it must stop.
Was this before or after the main event?
It was after the shooting.
Okay, for the sake of recording history.
Yes, we should talk about the shooting.
Right.
Yes.
So this was the initial report out of CNN after the shooting that occurred.
Following breaking news in Minneapolis, where city officials confirm a shooting occurred reportedly involving a federal ICE agent and a civilian this morning. You see the live pictures right there. Our Whitney Wild is there on the ground. Whitney, tell us what's happening right now.
Dana, we're in the heart of Minneapolis. We're here on East 35th and Portland Avenue. And let me show you first, I'll show you who's on scene. That is Mayor Jacob Frey. He's the mayor of Minneapolis. To the side here on the left side of your screen, that is Police Chief Brian O'Hara. There is an enormous law enforcement presence here from multiple different jurisdictions. Our photographer is going to show you what the crowd looks like here, Dana. Mayor Frey is now leaving. I think you're probably starting to hear people yelling to him, but he is now leaving. He had spoken with some people on the edge of the crowd when he first arrived, according to a man who had video of it. He did not come back to the crowd. Now a crowd is following him down the street. But what you're looking at right now is the law enforcement response here. So you see Minneapolis Police, you see the Hennepin County Sheriff's Department. We've also seen...
So you see, so she's just continuing to describe it. We've seen this before with CNN where they're on the ground. They're just like, this is what I'm seeing, yada, 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 going on and on.
Yes.
So the initial report, woman shot by ICE. That was the only information that was out. And then Mayor Frey did a presser. And in his presser, he starts off with this little number.
To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite.
So, instantly, when Donald Trump was shot by a sniper, the mainstream media says it's time for a calm. Everyone needs to calm and take a step back and relax. When there's this event, Frey comes out and immediately starts with fire and anger. I'm so angry. And if you don't know Jacob Frey, you should look up his video of him at a BLM protest when he's asked if he will commit to defunding the police. And then you should also look at the video of him at George Floyd's funeral. And you can get a kind of an image of the inauthentic performative nature that is Jacob Frey. So
I mean, if you hear that and don't automatically think performative, you might not make it.
Well, you're probably, but there's half the country sees that and says, yeah, I'm angry too. he gave an even a better presser too. So again, the only report is a woman has been shot by ICE. That's all we know. And then he gives this presser, and this is right before the video kind of hits the media.
And to make sure that there is an investigation that is conducted in full. But what we do know is that a 37-year-old woman is dead and that she was shot by ICE. We've dreaded this moment since the early stages of this ICE presence in Minneapolis. Not only is this a concern that we've had internally, we've been talking about it. They are not here to cause safety in this city. What they are doing is not to provide safety in America. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust.
No.
They're ripping families apart. They're sowing chaos on our streets. And in this case, quite literally killing people.
A person.
So they are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bullshit. This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying, getting killed. As soon as it happened and we learned of the incident, we had several priorities. The first, of course, was to get the victim to the hospital and to get care as soon as possible. To the family, I'm so deeply sorry. There's nothing that I can say right now that's going to make you or your relatives or the friends of the victim feel any better. There were, I believe, 2 Minneapolis police officers.
All right, I'll stop it. So you get the idea. He comes out with fire and fury at this whole thing. And, you know, what was really weird about this is we were chatting, and Sam S. of Burblandia said, you know, he said, didn't you guys predict this whole event happening? Right? And I didn't actually remember that. Did you recall predicting this before he brought it up?
Not really.
Ooh, you're very crispy. Put a marker down. You want to, yeah, there you go. Check.
Not really.
Right, me neither. So I went and I found what he was talking about, and I was getting ready to spike the ball this week, as like we predicted that. I'll play the clip still, and then I'll kind of lean into why I don't think we can spike the ball really on this one, but I'll play it nonetheless, I believe. And I think that's what they're trying to angle for here. They're trying to get because we've long noted the Democratic Party is kind of headless, it's leaderless, it's dead. And so someone needs to die here. And that's what the Democrats are banking on. And that's why I think we'll continue to see these kind of Antifa-esque clashes at night at these events, because someone needs to get killed. And then that can be the rally cry that they continue to use and push forward. However, it was really Trump's response to Charlottesville that they really capitalized on last time, with the lie of very fine people on both sides.
Yeah. That's an interesting point to chew on, that the timing is almost exact.
Too delicious to believe, my friend.
It's almost exact in its distance from midterms, because Unite the Right was in August.
Right. This is in June, the first summer of the term. I mean, also, can we say that we sort of predicted this? Can we say we sort of predicted it? So that was our take. That was on the LA riots that we were talking about.
Yes, we're back to now, this episode. This is us now.
Right. So that was in June of 2025, episode 173, Tio Tomas is that episode that we presented that on. And it seems that it came to fruition. And so you have the performative nature of Fry that realized that this was an outrage event, and they were trying...
No. They didn't realize anything. They've been preparing for this.
Exactly. They were ready for it. Just like you heard us predict, they're ready for this. And, you know, I had written a whole diatribe this weekend. I thought a lot about what happened in Minneapolis. And I kept coming back to the book by Saul Alinsky, Rules for Radicals. And I think it was Rule 13 that was freeze it, personalize it, polarize it, which is basically take an event, freeze it, polarize it, and personalize it, which is exactly what they're doing. It is effectively a socialist or a communistic organizer playbook, and the media plays right into it as well. So they have Fry on. Initially, it's just a 37-year-old woman that's shot. We don't have much information. Fry comes out and says it. And then credit to Clip Custodian for this. He puts together a super clip of what the media then, or a supercut of what the media then became after Fry's speech, and the video is aired all over.
Across the nation, anger builds after an ICE agent fatally shoots a mother.
37-year-old Renee Good, an American citizen and a mother of 3, was killed by an ICE agent.
A 37-year-old mother of 3 who had recently moved to Minnesota.
It's getting harder and harder to listen to all of the rhetoric when a mom of 3 children is dead.
Renee Good, a 37-year-old mother of 3.
A federal immigration officer shoots and kills a 37-year-old mother in Minneapolis. 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good, an American citizen and mother of 3.
And it devolves into that now. She was just, and the social media posts reflect it, she's just out there minding her business in her own neighborhood, and she was shot.
She might even have her kids with her.
She could have had her kids with her. She could have her kids with her. And that was the narrative. And there were the 2 different video angles that came out from behind the car. You could see behind the car, and it looked like it could have gone either way. Was it self-defense? Was it an attack? And so I was getting ready to spike the ball this week. I was saying we predicted this. We knew that they were waiting for this moment, just like they were waiting for George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, to all of a sudden take off and fly. They were waiting for someone to die so they could have somebody to rally around and push back, reignite the resistance. And that's kind of what happened. And then the video that the ICE officer himself took came out, and it just threw water on a lot of the protest. A lot of people saw it and said, oh, holy smokes. She's not just a mother of 3, right? She's a part of a group that's trying to actively disrupt ICE agents. She's blocking the road. They're harassing ICE agents. And now it kind of looks like she did indeed resist arrest and try to hit an ICE officer while her wife cheers her on, saying, drive, baby, drive. And so,
right on up to heaven.
Right. So I think there's a couple of facts that, I thought this was going to be the event, but there's got to be another event, because this is not it. Because it's too cold. We're in the middle of winter. The person killed
too cold.
is too white and too gay.
Too white. Yep.
And so,
it's not the right demo.
And I could feel it right away with I keep various of people that I know in college that are incredibly liberal. And when something happens, I check their stories.
They're the bellwether.
Exactly. They're the bellwether. So that first day, everyone's posting, F ICE, F this, comparing ICE officers to Ku Klux Klan members, to Nazis, comparing it to Charlie Kirk, which, what's interesting about this event is I'm not angry about it at all. I just kind of watched how the anger impacted both sides. And the only thing that really kind of miffed me a little bit was somebody comparing this person to Charlie Kirk and saying that if you were loud for Charlie Kirk and you're not saying anything about this, you're one of the bad guys. And, I can see how if you're emotional, you would say, oh, this is the same thing. But if you look at the rational facts between a woman trying to hit a guy with her car and a man speaking to college students gets sniped in the neck.
He's assaulting people with his words.
Right. It could not be more different.
Well, one was an assassination.
Forget that.
Exactly.
One was an assassination, and one was an activist getting her comeuppance. So,
yeah, and to drive home your point about it going either way, he was quick to draw.
Yeah. I mean, it's for a jury to decide whether it was self-defense.
Right, which you'll never get an unbiased jury pool at this point, thanks to Jacob Fry and the media reporting that hung on to the outrage coattails and reported as such.
Right. And you have progressive leadership in Minnesota on recording, not recently, but, within the past year, of saying, put your body on the line. We need to protect our immigrants, put your body on the line. And that's what happened. And it becomes...
Well, to your point, her girlfriend is cheering her on.
Right. Drive, baby, drive. The video shows them harassing the ICE agents beforehand. And look, I even predicted, as soon as that ICE video came out, and you heard Renee goes, I'm not mad at you. It's okay, bro.
Yes,
I'm not mad at you.
You did nail this.
I nailed it. Where, and then I think Hannah said something like, well, I wonder how they're going to spin this. And I wrote, Renee Good says, I'm not mad at you seconds before being murdered by ICE. And that was again, the narrative that came out everywhere.
Yes.
And it was like, how do you spin the video that shows her seemingly trying to hit an ICE officer with her car? So, again, it's for a jury to decide whether or not he acted appropriately or inappropriately. The administration also, on their side, did their job saying, and docs, the administration, the Trump admin, are the ones that actually dox this guy by saying, he was involved in this and he had to get 33 stitches, and his name is all over that happening. Jonathan Ross. And so people put two and two together and were like, oh, this is Jonathan Ross who shot the lady. And so that's how he got doxxed, by the administration trying to defend him. So,
well, as an enjoyer of police videos and the classic Cops, even though you don't see things like this on Cops, but you do see things like this in police videos on the internet, even if an officer isn't in front of your vehicle, even in a low tension situation, like a traffic stop, if the officer is approaching your vehicle from the side and you drive away, they will shoot you.
Yeah. If yeah, definitely. Well, maybe. I don't know. I think it really depends on both the situation and the officer. Like, if you get pulled over for speeding and then you just, gun it as soon as the cop gets out of your car, I don't think they're going to send rounds at you.
No. What I'm talking about is the officer, I almost said the ICE officer, the officer being near the vehicle, but not in front of the vehicle. This debate over whether she would have hit him had she continued her movement and not been shot, it's worthless debate, because if an officer is near your vehicle, they have precedent to say they were in danger if you drive away after they've ordered you to exit the vehicle.
Yeah, I think the plausible deniability of the guy who fired is one thing, and that's why they started talking about, was it, justified to shoot, and then they stopped and started to analyze the shots, where I think everyone on the mainstream media now says, okay, the first shot maybe, but the second two, when he's off to the side of the vehicle, those were too much. That was too much excessive force. So, but the amount of this is not clearly wrong, like in Minneapolis with George Floyd, for instance, how they covered up the toxicology report, how the toxicology report came back and said, oh, he didn't actually die of asphyxiation. He died of a drug overdose. But that was buried as part of the narrative for the outrage. And now Derek Chauvin is in jail and has been arrested. I could very well see that being a thing here too. However, I don't think there's enough outrage around this. I think it is dying out. There are still protests going on, but not, I think nationwide, the people dusted off their No King sign, which did happen the first summer of Trump's presidency, got out there and protested once, but I don't think we're going to see anti-ICE protests across America this next weekend.
Right. And what you need for a successful riot, because that's what you're looking for. You're not looking for a protest. You're looking for a riot. You're looking for chaos if you're on the side of things that want to really harm the Trump administration. You want a riot. And the true believers and organizers in your apparatus aren't going to cause a riot. You need rioters. And the rioters are not going to come out for a lesbian white woman. They're just not going to.
No, lesbians are the first letter in the LGBTQIA, and that's the only deference they're given. Everyone else just kind of was like, yeah, whatever. Lesbians are notoriously loud and opinionated, and I think the other letters are just like, nah.
So the most I think you get out of this is a protest. I think in one of my clips I have a piece about a walkout that is staged in Minneapolis, day away from work and school and all this, and I'm sure that'll happen and it'll get coverage, but I don't see there being pallets of bricks being dropped off and police precincts and local businesses being burned to the ground over this.
That's another thing, too. Tim Walz, no school this week. After that shooting happens, no school. So now we have these 15 to 18-year-olds that are probably all hopped up on SSRIs and marijuana. I sound like a freaking boomer. They're all smoking their pots.
I don't think you get hopped up on either one of those, but
Right.
I'll let you continue.
So they're all hopped up.
The point is taken.
Right. The teachers are feeding them full of this. They're young and impressionable. Their dads are conservative.
Yeah,
and so they're revolting against their parents.
They've already moved Renee Good up the ladder of great Americans to be in the same tier as Martin Luther King Jr. And,
Right. Plus, getting together with a group of people and breaking shit is fun,
It is. And make no mistake, that's why Tim Walz is letting schools out.
Exactly. And it's to add fuel to it, but it's not working.
It's too cold.
It is. It is far too cold. There's a video of a Somali guy downtown Minneapolis saying, "I came here to hear the good, sweet music of America," and it was like protesting. But he's in his car. He's like, "But it's too cold, so I just have to stay in my car."
I mean, what you're going to get, you're not going to get riots. What you're going to get is the regional Ark Raiders and Fortnite servers are going to be jam-packed this week, and that's it.
Pretty much, yeah. It's it was like I was super excited because I'm like, oh, we nailed it, and then it just died out. It died out, and I got there with my friends' posts. I was like, they posted once, and then it was back to, look at my cat, it's so cute.
Yes, but I think there is something that should be noted here. This is proof of concept. If we keep applying pressure to ICE, this will happen again when the weather's warmer and conditions are better, and maybe there'll be some bricks on sale.
Yeah,
and we'll get the result. Even though they may make a risk calculation that says Republicans are already looking bad enough in the midterms, and we don't really need to do this come summertime.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is, so the Democrats, they champion this. They want people to be killed by ICE, which is sick, but they want it to win political points, and that's exactly the case, and it happens to be before a midterm election. So I agree with you. I think the time that it's got to happen, there's got to be another event, and it's got to happen in the summer. June, July, perfect strike point. And it's got to be preferably a minority.
Yes.
And the hilarious thing is people were pointing out the hypocrisy of this ICE agent because he has a Filipina immigrant wife. And it's only ironic if you completely misunderstand the difference between immigrants and illegal immigrants, people that come here illegally. So, if everyone is an immigrant, if all immigrants, and it's also this false belief that all immigrants fear ICE or that they don't like ICE. I'm sure the immigrants that came here legally are perfectly fine with ICE because they understand, hey, I came here the legal way. Perhaps everyone should have to come here the legal way and not just come here for free handouts or to run a daycare.
Right. Yes.
So, I don't know. It's just the amount of watching the amount of rage and the emotion. It felt really weird. It felt like I was hovering above humanity for a little bit, watching this play out and kind of unaffected by it. If that makes sense. Just like watching how irrational people are when they're angry, pretty much, when I'm not angry.
Yeah.
And just noting it, not partaking.
Well, I mean, it's a core tenet of both marketing and the information war, where you use people's emotions against them. It's the most surefire way. It's why cinema is the most powerful medium for changing opinions and attitudes and behavior.
Right. If there's a right-wing troll out there that wants to make people mad for no apparent reason, have AI generate a photo of Renee Good in a sombrero with a little Mexican mustache, and print that out and walk around the streets of Minneapolis. That you might actually get killed.
Yeah, you might. Yeah. Okay. Well, do you want to play some clips on this?
I've played. I've played my clips.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, then we'll move ahead. I've got, and this is another aspect of it. What we've said so far could rightly be determined to be coming down on the administration's side of this whole thing. But the administration, and specifically Kristi Noem, I don't know who ever decided it was a good idea to put Kristi Noem in charge of anything. No. My God, I don't think you could have a worse person talking about this to the media.
No.
And the clips that I'm about to play are some of the worst I've ever heard.
Yeah, their actions and response are just as emotional and just as stupid as the protesters.
It's incredible.
It is
you
insane.
have a clear advantage, and you're too stupid to just have a line and leave it at that. So let's listen to Kristi Noem and all of her possibly sentient lip filler discussing this on the CNN program State of the Union.
You've also been criticized for your comments. The shooting, we should note, was Wednesday at 10:37 a.m. Eastern. Just over 2 hours later, the Department of Homeland Security put out a statement definitively asserting what had happened, defending the ICE agent, accusing Renee Good of domestic terrorism. That's a characterization that you reiterated in a press conference half an hour later. Now, Republican Senator Tom Tillis said, quote, "It was very unusual to have a senior law enforcement official to draw a conclusion about an event where the scene was still being processed. Generally speaking, law enforcement would recognize that a life was lost, that families are changed forever, the shooter's life will change forever. We're collecting video. We're trying to assess the situation." Why did you not wait for an investigation before making your comments?
Well, everything that I've said has been proven to be factual and the truth. This administration wants to operate in transparency. I have the responsibility as the Secretary of Homeland Security to know this information as soon as possible. Had just been in Minneapolis the day before, had already had conversations with officers on the ground and supervisors, and knew the facts.
Stop.
That the department.
I just realized something about Kristi Noem. She actually thinks her job is to know all of the details about every little thing that happens in these operations. That is destined to fail and both look ridiculous as it fails. It is not her job to know every little detail. It would be totally fine, as Tom Tillis suggests, for her to say, "This is a tragedy. We'll be conducting an investigation. No further comment." That would be fine.
You know why the Trump administration came out and acted like this is because Trump live reacted to the video of the shooting in front of 3 reporters during a 2-hour interview. Did you hear about that? He said
no, I didn't.
New York Times, Washington Post, and they were in him and they're asking him a bunch of questions about a bunch of stuff. And the Minneapolis shooting came up, and he said, "Give me my laptop." He watches the video and says something like, "She acted horribly," stuff like that. He live reacted and prejudged it. So now everyone in the administration falls in line behind him. And so that's what Kristi Noem is doing. She can't contradict Donald Trump. Like, we know this is the case. We know this is how the administration acts.
Yeah, it is. And that was a blunder. I mean, it absolutely a blunder for him to do that on the fly and put his lackeys, let's be honest, in the position that puts them in.
Right.
But it could have been done so much better than Kristi Noem does it.
There was also the effect to counter the outrage that was clearly being stirred up.
And
by
you don't
Jacob
have
Fry
to do that.
and Walz.
You don't have to do that, though. That's playing into the trap. It's like this. It's the concept of children's books. And I don't think I've ever expressed this here. There's this concept of children's books where you saw this thing happen, where when the critical theory started making its way into children's book and the queer theory started making its way into children's books, the people whose identity is, I'm on the right side of politics, those people thought they had to make opposed children's books with their ideology in the children's books. That's not what you do. Ideology in children's books is bad, full stop. What you do is, if you're going to make children's books, you just make good, classic children's books with simple narratives and simple lessons that apply to everything. It's the same concept in these kinds of responses. You don't have to virtue signal. That's what the administration is doing here. They're virtue signaling. You don't have to virtue signal just because your enemy comes out and says, makes a statement that needs a bleep filter on it. You can have the level head. You don't have to play the game. They want you to play the game. And for the administration, again, I'll say this again. Our political system has done an incredible job of catapulting the most incompetent people to the absolute heights of leadership in our government agencies. And it's more and more evident every day. They just can't help themselves. They think they're there to play a game. They're there to score points, to get clicks, to be seen on the internet. Kristi Noem is there to be seen.
This is the clicks, yeah, and I agree with that wholeheartly. And it's one of the reasons why we're not in the major leagues.
More successful?
Well, yeah, because people want, you got the Glenn Becks of the world where it's just everything that Trump does is awesome. And let me pivot around my previous points to explain why this thing that looks like a blunder on paper is actually great. The only thing that really pissed me off about this...
That's the origin of 44D chess.
Yeah, exactly. But everyone comes out spitting their ideology, and if you dare disagree with it, then the fan base that you have established, which are effectively people that only want to hear good things about the guy that they support, they turn on you. And so I think we're in a good spot to be critical of anyone, because we haven't tied our horses up to anyone. We've said, I voted for Donald Trump 3 times. I don't care. I thought he was a better candidate than the other one. But it doesn't mean I'm going to absolutely huff his farts out of his butt and be like, this is great. These farts don't smell at all. So, but yeah, that's a point I also came to that this weekend, where his administration is very much, the freaking John Bongino. Dan Bongino. He was
John Bongino.
John Bongino. It's Bon Jovi's brother.
Yeah.
He's in the administration. Kristi Noem writes a book about killing her dog. She gets a spot in the administration. It's all these like pro 100% everything he does is perfect, which is fine. But that's the entire culture now. And it's not just on the right, it's on the left too. The left is constantly reinforcing left wing. We talk about the fracturing of the left, of the progressives and the liberals. Well, guess what? The liberals are dead. Liberals are gone. It's just now all progressive. And, Jacob Fry the video I mentioned earlier of him not committing to defunding the police, they run him off. Here's this progressive mayor that says, I can't commit to defunding the police, with this lady with the microphone, and everyone starts chanting, go home, Jacob, go home, and he runs away because he went up against the mob, and that's exactly what it is. It's mob versus mob, and if you are in the mob and then say, wait a minute, I disagree with this, you get eaten. You get eaten by the mob, and I refuse to be a part of that. And I think that's what the greatest realization I had this weekend is, just the amount of anger that was coming out of the progressives and saying, thinking it was undue, and then seeing the immediate response from the right of, well, she clearly tried to kill him with her car. She's a domestic terrorist. And it was like insane. It was insane. So it felt kind of good to not be wrapped up in. And again, I'm not tooting my own horn, but it's just like, it felt good to be, I felt like a Canadian, like an outside observer,
Things are crazy, eh?
Yeah, pretty nuts, man. Glad that's not me.
Do you get the feeling that the culture war, but that's just a colloquial term for it, this hyperfixation on political points at any expense, do you feel like the culture war is getting more and more boomer coded?
Oh yeah, when the right was using woke as like a derogatory term, I already when that like got popularized on the right, I already was like, I thought we did this. Like I thought we were done making fun of it, and then it like took off, and everyone was say they're too woke, this, too woke, and that felt very boomerish. I think what is happening is from 2016 when you had the alt-right and 4chan and PayPay. I think a lot of that kind of mentality and attitude has leaked into the mainstream right and been adopted by the boomers, honestly. I think that's what we're seeing, and I think a lot of us are kind of post that, after that.
Yeah, and you can see the remnants of the boomers that it has driven absolutely mad online. Every now and then you'll come across some of them, and they've lost it. I mean, they have lost the plot, and it's all this being engrossed by this culture war and having to explain, there's still a semblance of a rational mind there, because all of the third and fourth order Q material and Pepe material and mimetic type things, it's all an attempt to rationalize why their heroes aren't winning the way they thought they'd be winning.
Well, and that's the thing is, I think there are some pretty solid dubs in the Trump administration, but they're all happening internationally, right? Venezuela was a strategic W for Donald J. Trump, and it's almost like when Trump got shot, there was media coverage of that for 2 days, and then it was Joe Biden drops up Kamala Harris, oh my God. The media just carried water for her, doing background stories, talking about how she was good. Hot Girl Summer or whatever, Messy Girl, whatever it was, rose up right away. And
Hot Girl Summer.
You know what I'm talking about? It was something like Messy
Yeah.
Girl or I don't remember even what it was. But that like rose up, and so they covered it right away. And so Trump has these strategic wins on the international stage, and then boom, we got to nail them domestically. And it's ahead of the primaries, and I don't know what the Republicans are going to do. I think they're going to lose everything.
It feels that way right now.
They mean it's not a good tide for them. I would love to continue to see the securing of the Western Hemisphere. I am a fan of that plan. Pull back from the rest of the world, secure our half, prepare for World War III. That's what everyone else is doing. But if we lose both the House and the Senate, that's over. The game plan is done. The goose is cooked. We are now, and we'll never have another Donald Trump. We'll have imitations.
He's a man out of time.
That's right. We'll have imitations. People that are trying to capture that MAGA theory, but they're going to be gross.
It'll be awful. Oh, it's going to be awful.
What are those? I forget the terminology, but it's basically like when something is close to human, but it's not quite human, and it's like mimics.
Uncanny Valley.
Uncanny Valley. That's what it'll be like. Where some people will be like, "Oh, I love this," and everyone else will be like, "This is very weird, very weird." Yeah.
Well, I will
Valley.
say there is, I think, an authentic spiritual successor to Trump that has emerged over the course of this securing the Western Hemisphere operation, and that's Marco Rubio.
Yeah, I like him over Vance for 2028.
I think he's the clear favorite if you're paying attention to what's happening on the world stage. Now, will his ethnicity and his appeal to the Hispanic population be enough domestically? I think that's yet to be seen, but there's still time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you on that front. But I felt like so much of the game was just revealed to me this weekend. You know? He can do any number of things on the world stage. And, after Venezuela, we've pivoted to Greenland. And now this whole Iran thing is going to take over the media. Now they're going to talk about Iran after, we've been talking about it for the past 2 weeks. It's now the media's turn. And Greenland, and, that's the next spin out of after Minnesota. But the game plan, the political playbook that both sides are going to play domestically is just obvious now. It's there. We know that there's going to be another event in summer. We know that there's going to be more protests in the summer. We know that for a fact. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
And we know the fact that Trump didn't invoke the doctrine. What was the doctrine that they were going to do in Minnesota? Everyone's like, he's a heartbeat away from the, insurrection doctrine. Insurrection Act. From doing that in Minnesota. He didn't do it. I think they had a vibe of like, this is going to die out. She's a lesbian. She's white. No one cares. It's going to die out. And they didn't do it. And it's died out. So while their initial response was flawed, I think they have pulled away the woodpile from the fire.
Yeah, and the thing about what the administration should be doing in this situation, which is going after the actual network that you have to know exists. You have to know things about this network that would allow you to start knocking over dominoes. I don't know why that isn't happening. And the thing about it, though, if you start doing that and you start arresting people associated with the network, with the funding of these organizations, it's not going to get much play. People aren't going to see it. So you could have this major win that people hear about because of places like us who would talk about these people being arrested and all of the money they funneled toward these organizations. But the electorate generally isn't going to get that, which may be why we're not seeing it. And instead we're getting, stories about freezing credit card rates at 10% and banning institutional investment in housing. Those feel like they almost feel like desperation attempts to shore up the electorate before midterms.
Yeah, those are voting points.
Yeah.
And this whole interest rate thing too, which we can talk about in a little bit. There's a culture war surrounding that.
Let's not get too far away before we play some more Kristi Noem.
Sure.
This is What Happened and Terrorism.
Great.
Well, with all due respect, Secretary, the first thing you said was, quote, what happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and rammed them with her vehicle. That's not what happened. We all saw what happened.
It absolutely is what happened. Those officers had been out in enforcement action. A vehicle had been stuck. They had come to help get that vehicle out. That's when this individual started blocking traffic for minutes and minutes.
You said that the woman attacked them and surrounded them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle.
Blocked the road for a long time and was yelling at them and impeding a federal law enforcement investigation. And that's what you need to focus on, Jake, is they were breaking the law by impeding and obstructing a law enforcement operation. They were breaking the law already, and these officers were doing their due diligence and what their training had prepared them to do to make sure they were handling it appropriately.
You said within hours of her being killed, you said that she was a domestic terrorist. How do you define domestic terrorist?
She weaponized her vehicle to conduct an act of violence against a law enforcement officer and the public.
How
So
can
as
you
they are doing that,
How can you assert with certainty that she was trying to hurt the officer as opposed to she was trying to flee the scene?
if you look at what the definition of domestic terrorism is, it completely fits the situation on the ground. This individual, as you saw in the video that we released just 48 hours after this incident, showed that this officer was hit by her vehicle, she weaponized it, and he defended his life and those colleagues around him and the public.
Okay. My issue here isn't my gut response was calling this woman a domestic terrorist is very
it's a log on the fire.
It's very Janet Reno of you. And for those who don't know, you should look at what happened when Janet Reno was in office. But it feels gross to say this woman was a domestic terrorist. She's just an agitator. Don't give her that. She's not that important. But at the same time, the other thing about this, calling her a domestic terrorist, it really flies in the face of something I was just talking about. We have had, take what happened in Portland, okay, with CHOP, the autonomous region in Portland, or any number of leftist violence, George Floyd riots, list several more. We never hear domestic terrorist in those discussions. We have actual organized networks of rioters and agitators, and we never hear domestic terrorists. Now, this woman may very well have been plugged into these networks, but we only hear domestic terrorist when she attempts to drive her car, whether it's at an officer or not, and is then shot and killed.
It's okay, she was a terrorist.
Right. Well, Christy, what's the definition of a domestic terrorist? Well, the most important question is, have we shot them yet?
Exactly. I killed someone once, but when I got back to them, they were a terrorist. So.
Well, she actually called her dog a domestic terrorist.
That's right.
But this irks me that we haven't heard any mention of anything being domestic terrorism. And then this woman is labeled a domestic terrorist. And it's just cover. It tells me that the DHS is just running cover. They're playing whack-a-mole. I've said it 100 times. I'm probably going to say it 1,000 more. This feels like whack-a-mole. There's a problem over here, whack-a-mole. There's a problem over here, whack-a-mole. There's a problem over here, domestic terrorists, whack-a-mole. There's no forethought. There's no competence in any of this. And it's becoming more and more clear. And I guess if you wanted to distill my gripe down, it's that there hasn't been any action against actual domestic terrorist networks. And if your argument is, well, she was a member of ICE Watch and this local group that was opposing ICE and impeding law enforcement, okay, you're really going to attack a domestic terrorist network by shooting an agitator in the face? That's how you want to do it? That's your plan? That's your 44D chess? No, it's not.
I really think a lot of this has to do with Trump is hyper-focused on geopolitics, international politics. And, having J.D. Vance come out and give that defense of the ICE agent live kind of seemed to me like all right, kid, you can run America. I'm gonna run.
You're up.
Yeah, I'm gonna run the world stuff. You can run the United States stuff, and it just feels like a botch snap. The long snapper coughed.
Well, I don't think anyone respects J.D. Vance,
No.
so they don't go to J.D. Vance and say, "All right, the boss is out. What are we doing here?" They just, Trump said she was in the wrong, so she's a domestic terrorist. Jake, I don't know what to tell you.
She was a 37-year-old mother of 3, though.
Someone investigate those kids.
Exactly. They're probably terrorists, too.
Okay. I've got another clip here where Jake Tapper is pressing Kristi Noem on how do you know? How do you know, Noem?
The question is, I don't doubt. My position is, I wasn't there. I didn't see it. Some people say that it clearly showed that she was trying to hit him and did. Some people say, no, she was clearly trying to move her car and flee and get away. I don't know. What I'm saying is, how do you know? How can you assert for a fact within hours before any investigation?
He's got her.
This is what happened.
The facts of the situation are that the vehicle was weaponized and it attacked the law enforcement officer. He defended himself and he defended those.
Why didn't he shoot the car?
That's right.
That is the
It
definition.
attacked the
When
law.
there is something that is weaponized to use against
Cars
the
kill
public
people.
and law enforcement, that is an act of domestic terrorism. It happened in our shores. It happened here in our country. You don't get to change the facts just because you don't like them. We will continue to look
channeling
at this
Ben
individual
Shapiro.
and what her motivations were. We know that there was, throughout that morning, she had harassed and impeded law enforcement operations. That raises the suspicion level with all of these law enforcement officers as far as paying attention to what her capacity is. And as you see on the videos, and they've proven out, that this law enforcement officer took the action that his training prepared him for, and he worked to make sure that he could save his own life and those around him.
How can you assert that there's no ambiguity in this before any investigation has taken place?
I had just been in Minneapolis and had been with those officers, had seen what they were facing on the streets every day, and had talked to their supervisors as soon as the incident happened and had gotten the facts and seen videos before I ever went to talk at that press conference. And the Trump administration and President Trump is the most transparent and open government that we've ever had. Give the public the information, give them what they need to know about a situation so they can have the truth as soon as possible.
Okay, I love this. This is the administration's attempt at their version of Hasbara. Because you're saying they're the most transparent administration in history. You're saying we give the public the information. What you don't mention is we go talk to Jake Tapper and we go talk to Fox News and we go talk to News Nation and we have the press secretary tell you exactly what you're looking at.
I mean, they could have just released the ICE video.
They could have. They
it.
could have just released it. They could have just said, we're doing an investigation. Here's the video.
It looks like self-defense to us. Just even that statement alone. You don't have to say.
Yeah,
she's
our
a domestic
position is that
terrorist.
our position is that the officer acted in self-defense. Full stop. What's next, Jake?
We have reports that Renee Good's pager blew up a couple months back.
Yeah. Okay. Well, one final spat between Jake Tapper and Kristi Noem, and this is just the devolution of these kind of conversations, and this is what you get. This is a microcosm of the debate about this video online. I've seen more video than you. No, I slowed the video down slower than you could. Well, I listened to the high fidelity audio, so I know more than you do. And this is back and forth about what the video shows. You get this with Kristi Noem and Jake Tapper, and I pulled it just for the novelty of it because I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this and I'm pulling this clip just in awe that this is the representative of the administration and the representative of the media, too. I mean, they're both awful.
Final spat?
Yep.
So if this agents were perfectly fine, if everything he did was accurate, does that mean that other ICE agents should
He
look
wasn't
at what...
perfectly fine. He was injured. He went to the
Should
hospital.
other ICE No, his agents actions were fine. I didn't
in
say-
fact, I think a lot of people and guests, and even you yourself, called this situation something very different and untruthful about what it was, as far as
What
this
did I say that was
individual-
untruthful?
That this was not a
Meh.
correct definition of what was happening on the ground. That this
I said that your description, they were attempting to push out their vehicle and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle, is not what we see on the videotape, and it's not.
It absolutely is the facts of what happened on the ground that day. They
No, it's-
were there pushing out a vehicle earlier. They had helped each other.
But that's not
do
what you
that.
said. That's not what you said.
Yes,
they were
it's
pushing out a
absolutely
vehicle.
what I said. There's not one.
We
thing
all
that-
seen the video. I don't need to relitigate it. We've all seen the video. She is blocking the street. They approach her.
You haven't seen the video of the entire morning and the previous encounters with this individual.
Oh, we have aired it. Yes, we have. On Thursday, we were airing and noting the fact that she was there for several minutes, for minutes and minutes and minutes. She was protesting without
And
question.
at previous locations that morning, that absolutely, that these vehicles had been previously down the block on video that you haven't seen. There's more information
But
that
the question
this individual
is
was
not-
impeding law enforcement operations throughout the previous moments and hours before this incident
The question is, what was she doing when she was moving her car?
The question
That's the question.
is why are we arguing with a president who's working to keep people safe? Why are we arguing with law enforcement operations that have gone on in this country
Why are
for
you
years,
fighting us, Jake?
And we're working to collect murderers and rapists and drug traffickers and fraudsters off the streets of Minnesota, and we don't have local law enforcement and local elected officials that are partnering with us to help do that work.
You know, these two should get married.
I think Jake Tapper is gayer than Renee Good.
You've never heard of a cover marriage?
A beard?
A beard, yeah, a beard. Yeah. Okay.
For all you boomers out there, that's called a beard. When a gay guy marries a woman, that's his beard.
Right. Okay. Well, we have a little bit of update from today about what's happening in Minnesota. I pulled the first clip is titled "Resignations Know Nothing," but it's literally nothing other than the fact of some people resigning. But I did find a better one, so we can ignore that one, and we can play Local Report Resignations.
President Trump is sharing his thoughts on Minnesota. In a new statement today, he said in part, Minnesota Democrats love the unrest that anarchists and professional agitators are causing because it gets the spotlight off of the $19 billion that was stolen by really bad and deranged people. Fear not, great people of Minnesota. The day of reckoning and retribution is coming. Well, CBS News has learned that several career prosecutors in the U.S. Justice Department's Civil Rights Division have resigned. This shortly after learning there would be no civil rights probe into the fatal shooting of Renee Good. A source tells CBS News at least 6 prosecutors, most of whom are supervisors in the Civil Rights Division's criminal section, will be leaving their jobs. The source tells CBS News the investigation is being treated as an assault on a federal officer. CBS could not immediately determine who made that decision. Faith leaders, community members, and labor groups came together earlier today to announce their plan for a day of action against ICE.
Minnesota will not continue to be a testing ground for the kind of fear and violence that is expected for the rest of this country.
The plan is to have a day of no work, no school, and no shopping, along with a massive peaceful march through downtown Minneapolis. This is planned for January 23rd and will also serve as a statewide day of mourning following the death of Renee Good after she was shot and killed by an ICE agent. Earlier today, students at Park Center High School in Brooklyn Park walked out of classes to show their anger over immigration enforcement in the Twin Cities.
Oh, yeah.
This is one of several student organized walkouts that we've seen
school
lately across the metro.
Yeah, the 23rd thing, like pushing it out an additional 2 weeks, is just to try to keep the ball rolling, but it's not. It does not have the steam.
Yeah, no work, no school, no shopping. Sounds like a bunch of communist gobbledygook to me.
Pretty much. Just a bunch of communist BS. I agree. I think that's what that is, and they are continuing to push that. The students walking out of school were the big surprise. Oh, I'm so outraged at this happening in my community. I'm going to leave school, not because I want a day off from school and I'm going to go home and play video games, but because I'm outraged at this events that are happening around. That's the vast majority of kids leaving school that day.
Yeah, and then you've got the subset of
their kids that
well,
stay
I care about I care about this because the girl that I like cares about this.
That do not the power of, I think it's called the power of the box. I'm not sure why it's called that, but it is a big fact. But you also have the secondary subset of kids that are in school wearing their Quality Learning Center sweatshirts that they bought from Nick Shirley.
Yes.
Saying, I'm here to learn, damn it.
Yes, today at the Millennial Media Offensive Quality Learning Center, we're learning about the box and the beard, children.
That's right. The power of the box and the disguise of the beard. Two cultural war issues that boomers will be talking about years from now.
Yes. Okay, second part of this local report is about Trump revoking temporary protected status for Somalians.
And now to the latest from the live desk streaming on CBS News Minnesota. Maria Lizignoli joins us now. So Maria, back in November, President Trump said that he was ending legal immigration status for some Somalis in Minnesota, and now we have an update.
That's right. This morning, DHS and USCIS announced they are ending temporary protected status for Somalia. So that means Somali nationals with TPS are now required to leave the United States by March 17th of this year. Temporary protected status is granted to foreign countries who meet requirements for things like ongoing wars and natural disasters that prevent citizens from returning home safely. As of March of 2025, 705 Somali nationals were covered by TPS in the entire country. That's according to U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services data. A 2023 fact sheet from the Immigrant Law Center said about 430 Somalis were in Minnesota under that protection. According to the Council on American Islamic Relations, this change will cause families to be separated in some cases. Now, this is a developing story. We're going to continue following this and keep you updated as we learn more. Aaron?
Okay, we'll leave, but we're bringing our tires with us.
Yeah. Now, this is going to take effect, I think she said, in April.
Oh, of course. Of course. Yeah. Now you
Yeah.
have a renewed push in Minnesota, April, probably a couple of months, May, June. That's when the shot is taken. That's when the next person dies.
Yeah.
And then you have a real solid
And
riot.
they're going to be
Somali.
in black communities.
They're going to be it's going to be a Somali. I can feel it already. That's who's going to get shot next. And that's where the outrage is going to be. And that's going to be the one that that really sparks off the protests all over. Say his name. Abdul.
I really wish I hadn't been stepping on that.
It's all good.
Yeah. Hassan Piker.
Oh man. Yeah, it's predictable. The domestic playbook is here. If you guys wonder why we focus a lot on geopolitics, is because everything that's happening here is all soda. We already know what's going to happen.
It is pretty easy.
Yeah.
And you can always be surprised by things, but there's a general trend that once you see it, you can't unsee it. It flows through everything.
You got to get that offensive vision. Once you have it, you got it. Okay. What do you want to talk about next?
Well, it being 40 past the hour, I know we had some delay because of the internet outage. After those two major topics that most people wanted to hear about, there anything you want to do before we thank some people for sending their kids to our Leering Center?
I think we're probably clear to thank some people. Let's go ahead and do that.
Millennial Media Offensive.
That's right. You are live on The Offensive every Tuesday night at 5:30 p.m. John and I hop on the internet, if it's available, if we have it at our house at that moment, and try to discuss the events of the past week, of the current ongoings of today, see if we can piece together what we think is actually going on versus what the media is telling us. And it's a good
You know, when you lost internet, I had a good thought. Maybe it's not as good when I say it out loud, but I thought about just asking you if you wanted to rename your city now, instead of to Confluence, to Tehranfluence.
Tehranfluence. There are tons of people being shot, and the internet is spotty at best. However, I wouldn't be opposed to forcing a lot of the women in this city to cover more than they currently do. So, there could be some positive aspects in that. I don't know. But that being said, we don't have advertisers here on The Offensive. Instead, we rely on value return to the people that enjoy listening to it, that enjoy participating in it, that are following us along on this journey. I like to think of it as a couple of friends getting together at a bar, talking about politics as opposed to sports. Sorry in advance, John, for last week. I heard you got there was a bit of a hurricane that hit Mississippi. I won't bring it up. But we have this conversation and we try to keep people informed. That being said, there's quite a few people that do return value back to the show. And there's many ways to do that. You can go to mmo.show/donate to figure that out. It doesn't have to be money too. You can submit articles, artwork, a combination of all the above if you really like to. But we always like to start off by thanking the person that submitted the artwork from last week. And no surprise here, the artwork last week was submitted by Wolf. And it's wonderful. It features a Nicolas Maduro in New York City wearing an I Heart New York shirt, eating a slice of pizza and standing in front of the Statue of Liberty. And it has kind of a Grand Theft Auto 4 vibe to it. Don't you think?
Yeah, it could definitely be a loading screen on Grand Theft Auto.
For sure. That's what I liked the most about it. I think there was another one that he submitted, which was a robot loading underwear into the oven, which was coming off the CES report last week.
Yeah.
That was a close second. But ultimately, this one was the most topical and could win out. And very easily, we could be talking about robots doing stupid things in the future. So we put that one in the evergreen folder.
Yeah, I really like the color scheme on the Maduro piece. And it just all fits together. It all makes sense. It's funny just because of the context of it. It's a good piece.
It is indeed. It was a good choice that we made. Oh, no. Couple issues there. Audio issues, no worries. But thank you very much, Wolf. It doesn't have to be Wolf. If you've got an idea for artwork, you can send it to Dan at MMO.show and John at MMO.show. Operators are standing by to judge it accordingly. So please feel free to submit that if you've got an idea. Moving on, these are people that went to MMO.show/donate and hit the donate button. We have a bit of a make good this week with Sam S. of Burblandia and Beargrass. For whatever reason, we forgot to mention him last week, which is my bad. So he came in through PayPal with $20.26 and says, as we ring in the 250th year of America, I notice that we Americans tend to view history and world events on a shorter timeline than other cultures perhaps do, which can inhibit our ability to fully understand what we're witnessing, read all old books, look at a map, and stay OTO.
On the offensive.
I like that. Read old books and look at a map. Man, I'm upset that I missed that. And you know what's interesting is that kind of was sage advice with the events that have been transpiring in Minnesota. The instant rage and and whatnot that was clearly just politically motivated. So thank you very much, Sam S. We appreciate that. Trashman came in through PayPal with $33.30 and says, keep my composure when it's time to get loose. If there was a problem, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while the DJ revolves it. Ice, Ice, Baby. Underrated song and great for the treadmill. Don't forget, the world is a stage. From chaos, they make order. New World Order on the offensive. Trashman.
On the offensive.
There's a lot of wisdom in that. A lot of wisdom.
Great for the treadmill is a great bit.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you, sir. And then finally, the Nail Lord of Gaylord comes in through Venmo with $5 and says, N-Log here. OTO. DJ Horseshoe donation. Those end of show techno mixes are real bangers. I appreciate the vote of confidence in DJ Horseshoe. Those bangers are oftentimes and pretty much only made by Potty Mouth, a.k.a. the Global Fed-Pilled Industrial Complex on YouTube. I got another one for you guys tonight to add to the end of the show. He just started submitting them. Sometimes they're about our show, and sometimes they're just random stuff. And, they're always fun. I get a lot of positive feedback from them. So thank you very much, Nail Lord of Gaylord, and thank you, Potty Mouth, for those end-of-show mixes.
Indeed. We also have some people who send Bitcoin to the show to support their value, to show their value. We have Eric PP coming in at 3,333 Satoshis with no note. And we have Nostragang Fountain.fm coming in with 111 and says, gracias.
De nada.
De nada. We have some streamers this week, people who stream value for every minute that they listen to the show. Oystein Berge comes in with 3,809 Satoshi streamed for number 201, Truth Nuke. And then Used to Read a Lot Fountain.fm comes in with 2,450 Satoshis for the same episode. I want to say thank you to everyone who does support the show. We would like to have a banner year this year, and we can only do that with you. I mean, this is Dan and I stand in front of the microphones and put words together. And other than Dan's technical expertise, that is the infrastructure that this runs on, that's basically all we do. We don't self-motivate to do this. We look to you for our motivation to continue doing this. We look to you for inspiration for topics. And this is truly your show. We are just vessels for the will of the people. So
yes, fill us
up. Yes, Dan will be giving the lecture on beards. We rely on you, and I hope you wouldn't want to let us down. And I hope that we actually earn the value that you send. If you've never given value back to the show in any way, I'd encourage you to consider it. Even if it's just an email telling us what you like, telling us what you dislike, telling us what you'd like to hear. Just give us your random thoughts about anything related to our show. And we talk about a lot of stuff, so it could really be your thoughts about anything. So, I just want to reiterate that we do rely on those of you listening to tell people about the show, to donate to the show, and to provide topical leads to us. We both have normal jobs, 40-plus hour week jobs, and other second and third jobs as well. We do this because we want to be here and because we feel that people want us here. And as long as we're supported by those listening, that feeling will continue, and we'll try to keep making this product better as we explore the 200s. And we hope you'll stick around and bring some new blood into the offensive, because the offensive never stops.
Never stops.
Are they doing something about these people that need some help? Get it on!
for context, we're the people that need some help.
Yes, if you couldn't tell by my impassioned plea.
Please send help. Okay, so there is a lot going around the world that's not being covered in the mainstream media so much. Iran is a big one. We covered that one.
No, they're talking about Iran.
Now they're talking about Iran. But a couple other ones. Today, a bill was introduced to make Greenland the 51st state. Did you hear about that?
Nope.
Well, now you're.
I know what's been going on with Greenland. I didn't know someone put a bill. I mean, that's a pretty low hanging fruit. It's not going to get passed. It probably won't go anywhere. Won't do anything. It's someone saying, "Hey, let me act like I have a job to do here."
More culture war points from Randy Fine's desk.
Oh,
a Republican bill was introduced to make Greenland the 51st state. A GOP lawmaker has introduced legislation that would authorize President Trump to pursue the acquisition of Greenland, potentially setting the territory on a path to becoming the 51st U.S. state. Representative Randy Fine from Florida introduced the bill on Monday, giving the president authority to take such steps as may be necessary to acquire the Arctic island, which is currently a semi-autonomous territory of Denmark. The proposal comes amid rising tensions between Washington, Copenhagen, and Greenland, as Trump and members of his administration have renewed calls for U.S. control of the territory. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen has warned that an American takeover of Greenland would mark the end of NATO. Greenland's Prime Minister Hans Fredrik Nielsen.
Okay, I can't stand that music bed.
Yeah,
anymore.
I feel like I'm about to start a grand strategy campaign here.
Right. Dun 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 dun. Dun, dun.
Your job is to secure Greenland through the sheer willpower of Randy Fine and Israel.
Randy Fine is fat. He's a fat guy. He's a big guy.
Randy Fat and Fine.
Randy feeling Randy. That's funny because Randy and Fine kind of, in a cultural context can mean the same thing. I'm feeling Randy.
Well, yeah. I think it's probably a stage name.
Randy Fine?
Yeah.
Is that his beard?
Yeah, that's his American beard.
Hey, you said the club word. Woo! Yeah, so there's that piece of legislation that was, again, introduced for culture wars. And then on the topic of Greenland, which everyone's been talking about ever since Venezuela, people are like, oh, man, we really got to take this Greenland thing seriously. So I think, again, it's a negotiation tactic, but I think Mark Rutte gets it. And Mark Rutte has apparently sidestepped criticism of Trump, according to the DW News, when it comes to NATO weighing the Arctic strategy for the protection of Greenland.
NATO Chief Mark Rutte says the alliance is working on ways to strengthen Arctic security as Europe scrambles to respond to Washington's continued interest in taking control of Greenland. President Trump argues that having control of Greenland is a matter of national security, particularly in the face of Chinese and Russian aggression. Speaking during a visit to Croatia, Rutte agreed with Trump's sentiment, but said the best response is a united one.
Working together here. And my only worry is, how do we stay safe against the Russians, against any other adversary? Look at what China is doing in rapidly building up its own armed forces, but also North Koreans and others who might wish us ill, and not well at least. And therefore, that's my role, and I think we will get there. No, not at all, and I think we are really working in the right direction here.
Let's get more on this now from DW's Terry Schultz in Brussels. Terry, what do you make of the NATO chief's statement on Greenland there?
Well, what you couldn't see there is how he tried to avoid making any statement about Greenland. He was asked 3 times by Croatian journalists directly about Trump's threats to Greenland, and only by the 3rd time was the Secretary General convinced to answer anything except in general about Arctic security. And you saw there how he was pressed on whether this is a crisis for the alliance, and he says, no, we're moving in the right direction because, of course, all allies do believe that it's a great thing if you improve Arctic security. They agree that it's been perhaps a bit neglected in the past. So those are the safe topics where everybody's on the same page. Where everybody is definitely not on the same page is on whether Trump's threats to invade Greenland are appropriate. And of course, I think nobody except the United States believes that they are.
I mean, Mark Rutte gets it. He's like, look, having the U.S. in Greenland is good for NATO overall. Also, Trump is the reason why NATO is even funded right now, because he played everybody into funding the economy pretty much by saying, I'm not going to defend you during an active war of Russia between Ukraine. So Mark Rutte understands, I think, Trump's strategy here of we're going to get Greenland in the news. And the irony of it is, I think, NATO's like, what kind of assets can we deploy to Greenland to keep it safe? The whole meeting was about Arctic security, which is Greenland. And I think from the journalist perspective, it's Arctic security against the United States. But the actual end goal is Arctic security against Russia and China. And that's just funny because it's a culture war talking point. And I think in this case, Trump is running around everyone's head and getting in their heads. And ultimately, it's going to work out. I don't know what we're going to do with Greenland, if we're going to buy it, which I hope we don't do, or if we're just going to cut a lot of deals with Greenland, which will probably be the case.
Yeah. I think we really do want it. And it is for Arctic supremacy.
I mean, Denmark holding it makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. I had an article up here, and I guess I lost it looking for Randy Fine's real name, which, unfortunately, is Randall Adam Fine.
Raff.
Randall Adam Feinstein. We love everybody here. There is a... Dang, I'm really upset that I missed that now. The U.S. weighing... This is from the defensenews.com. U.S. weighs compact of free association with Greenland, stirring NATO and Arctic security debate. So this could be the middle ground. We discussed last week how Trump is saying, well, we might invade Greenland. They've got 2 dog sleds as defenses, and we might take it if we have to. The middle ground might be this Compact of Free Association, which is a legal framework under which Washington assumes responsibility for a partner's external defense. Yeah. Which would give us the leverage to say, hey, those are our dog sleds now, and we painted F-35 on the side of them, so don't give us any lip about anything we want to do here.
There's that. There's also talk of massive investment. I don't know if you heard about Freedom City.
Yeah.
So that could be another route of, Denmark has kind of ignored Greenland for a long time, hasn't really done a lot with Greenland. Basically, the U.S. comes in and does what China has been doing with a lot of African nations, invests in the infrastructure of Greenland. I think there's only 93 miles of roads within the entire ice block that is Greenland. So invest in it, build up cities and that kind of stuff, and just win the hearts and minds of the people that then join the United States. It's a long-term strategy, but there's that option on the table as well. But I like the free association of we're going to protect it and guard it, and in which case we probably need the ability to install our assets on it.
Yeah, you mentioned Freedom City. I haven't heard that name in particular, but there is a leftist conspiracy theory that Greenland will be brought under the umbrella of the United States so that the technocrats can build their utopian city from which they'll rule the world. And there is a movement. I'm trying to think of the name of it.
It's like Ayn Rand's the Galt. Is it Galt's Gulch? Is what it's called. Where all the rich
that's
people
exactly
leave society.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a theme in Atlas Shrugged. All the rich people leave society behind and form their own community, and then
they opt out.
Yeah, and then they become their own farmers again, and they make so much money that they're like, you know what? I've made so much money, I would like to resort back to manual labor.
closer to the land.
That book is wild. The more I think about the amount of plots and different things that Ayn Rand envisioned, the less sound it is becoming in my head.
Oh, it's going to bother me that I can't think of this. This city, this movement. It started as a digital citizen movement, and it has Praxis. Praxis is the name of it. Praxis envisions itself as a full breakaway state and has raised $525 million from investors, including Peter Thiel, Alameda Research, and the Winklevoss twins.
So they want Luxembourg in the middle of Iceland? Greenland?
Yes,
Sorry.
they want to build an autonomous city in Greenland. Now they have some other cities that they're already building or trying to get people to move to. One, do you remember in California when the investors bought up the large, like 50,000 acres, and were building a new city, and it was the people from Silicon Valley that were putting all the money into it to build it?
Yeah, in California.
Yeah, that was a Praxis movement.
So now they're leading the Greenland movement.
Yeah, if you go, you should go to praxisnation.com. Look at the symbology and the aesthetic of this website.
Reunite the West.
Yeah.
The flag is like that is an ayahuasca trip vision, the flag.
Well, it's like it's reminiscent of Japan's rising sun.
Yeah, except it's like the reverse NATO flag in blue.
Yeah. Go to apply for citizenship, and you put your information in, and then you look at the bottom. By pressing submit, you agree to the privacy notice and the Praxis Citizen Pledge. I'm going to read you the Praxis Citizen Pledge. As a citizen of Praxis, I pledge to embody our spirit of transcendence through heroic actions and thought. I commit to the creation of our new nation and our future city where our ideals and values will flourish. I pledge my time, resources, and energy to make this vision real. I pledge to relocate to our city when the time comes, joining with my fellow citizens to forge a new way of life from our highest aspirations. We will build a nation that embodies strength, virtue, and innovation together for our present and our children's future.
In Adam Smith's name we pray. Amen.
That's good. Yeah. It is interesting. I don't think it constitutes this sort of Q-brained leftist conspiracy that is centered around it, because the full flowering of that conspiracy is that this is where the technocrats will live when the rest of the world crumbles and manage.
Greenland? That's the worst spot to live. I mean, are they really banking on global warming or something?
Who knows?
We're 50 years away from Greenland being Florida. I mean, there's so many other better places. Like those guys are so rich, they could probably buy Cambodia.
Well, they have, and I'm looking for. There are currently 151,068 Praxians. Let's see. Praxis Development.
They have a Twitter account. Ooh, Praxis Nation.
I'm looking for the list of potential sites for their cities. One example is our proposal for Atlas, California.
Oh, so these guys
Atlas
are
shrugged.
absolutely Ayn Rand
Yeah.
minded. It is Galt's clutch.
Yeah. A concept for a defense and spaceport city on 3,850 acres at Vandenberg Space Force Base.
See, we were trying to. There's a committee to turn Sheboygan, where I grew up, into a spaceport, effectively launching rockets. I don't think nothing ever became of it, or my dad was on a committee for it, which pretty much was a drinking club. Not this level of nutty. Yeah, this is like some sort of weird capitalistic movement. And the fact that they wanted to make a city called Atlas just proves that they read Atlas Shrugged and loved it.
You know, this is interesting. Their pinned post is Rome will stand at the end. Do you remember when Zuckerberg wore the Carthage Must Fall t-shirt?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting little memory popping into my mind.
Wow. A steel visa is never late nor early. It arrives precisely when it's meant to. You know, if we didn't read all that and hear about all the billionaires behind it, I'd be looking at this Twitter page and being like, oh, these are just some crazy, there's like one crazy dude that's like, we're gonna leave society behind. But this Twitter page is like, I mean, they just quoted Harry Potter or the Lord of the Rings in that last tweet that I read to you.
Yeah, references to the Eternal City. A picture of Donald Trump walking down a hallway that looks like their logo. They say Praxians in control.
Praxians in control. Praxians of the Caribbean. And they're following 24 people. Who are they following?
Ooh, that's a good catch.
Trump, Musk. Not a lot of other names. Sam Altman. The Winklevoss twins. And the founder, who is this guy named Charlie something.
Charlie Callahan.
Yeah. Wow. I bet he's a real weirdo. Well, there you go. That's the future of Greenland. That's why we must buy it. It's not actually for security purposes. It's for the Praxians. That's who is in control.
That's funny. It's interesting, at least, to know about.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, there's a reason Ayn Rand wrote that novel and it resonates with people, because it's easy to think that the only option for competent people is to throw your hands up and say, I can't do this.
We tried.
I shouldn't kill myself for these people who don't care. They can't. They're not capable of assisting me in achieving great heights.
Who is John Galt? Galt's Gulch. Oh man, if you haven't read Atlas Shrugged, I don't know if I would recommend it. I think, you know, if you read the first 200 to 300 pages, you've already gotten hit in the face with all of the talking points of the entire book. The rest just becomes a narrative, but essentially all the billionaires leave for a specific city and then revert back to working the land. I don't see a lot of farming happening in Greenland.
Depends on how technologically advanced you are and how you can terraform if the Earth doesn't terraform for you.
I think it's just a place for rich guys to go to have sex with their ultra super advanced Roombas. I think that's what this is going to be.
Yes, those are called Roombas.
Oh, the power of the Roblox.
That's good. That's good. Okay, that's good enough to move on. I've got you had some international stuff. Are you still looking internationally? Because all of my stuff is domestic or random.
The only thing that I wanted to mention was that Canada's Carney, he's over in China right now, which is, I have a clip, but it's really not worth playing. So he's over talking to China, and the only way to really read that is, well, we can't rely on America anymore, so we're gonna join China, and it's like a way to spite Trump, like, oh, you're doing all these things to beat out China from our markets, so now we're Canada, we're gonna go cozy up with China, and so it's a threat that's not gonna pan out, but it is weird because they have had kind of strained relations with China, where I think Trudeau pretty much turned the Canadian government into a Chinese spy force, more or less, but then kicked them out. And apparently they're trying to restart negotiations to try to beat the tariffs that are currently placed on them. Yeah. A little bit of Canadian news, not too much, but what do you have domestically?
Okay. Well, I've got a clip about that housing change that Trump is proposing. And this is in the housing folder. It's institutional investor ban on homes.
Now to the housing market and President Trump's plan to bring down home prices. Some on Wall Street may not like the idea.
This morning, a potential game changer in the housing market. President Trump says he wants to slam the door on Wall Street investors buying single-family homes.
Increasingly over the last 4 or 5 years, I think America is short essentially like 4 million homes, and that's translating into real affordability issues.
Trump announcing plans to ban institutional investors from snatching up real estate and driving up housing prices, saying for a very long time, buying and owning a home was considered the pinnacle of the American dream. That American dream is increasingly out of reach for far too many people. Wall Street said to be blindsided by Trump's move. Companies like Blackstone and other major landlords seeing their stock prices drop. Trump pushing Congress to approve the ban, saying people live in homes, not corporations. Senator Chuck Schumer responding, saying Senate Democrats tried to do this last year. Republicans blocked it. At the heart of the issue, affordability for
Schumer is such a petty jerk.
First-time home buyers. The median price of an existing home in the U.S. now tops $400,000 with mortgage rates near 6%. But critics say large investors own just 1 to 3% of single-family homes. And they say Trump's proposal does not address other big issues like the shortage of new building projects and skyrocketing construction costs.
We're talking about a really small share of purchase activity and an even smaller share of the overall housing stock when it comes to these large institutional investors.
Trump says he plans to lay out more housing and affordability proposals in the coming weeks.
You know what wasn't mentioned last year when the Democrats tried to do it was the 1 to 3% of housing stock owned by corporations. It was an epidemic when they tried to introduce it. Now Trump does it. Oh well, it's really there's really nothing there. Funny. But doesn't that kind of
the pettiness of Schumer is not lost on me either.
But doesn't it kind of? I remember we were talking about your parting goose. I think was the episode where we were talking about housing stock. And whatnot. Doesn't that kind of address the issue a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. The only question is in what areas does it? I think it'll be very localized or focused in particular areas. So I don't know that it's going to alleviate a housing shortage nationwide. And likely in the places where this housing has been purchased, the supply will be small enough that it won't have a major impact on price.
Probably. I think something that's in correlation with that is Trump constantly badgering Powell to cut the rates. For a lot of this housing stuff, because I think U.S. debt's coming true.
Is that what you call filing charges, badgering?
Well, so yeah, I'll play Powell's statement, and then the mainstream media instantly says this is just pure weaponization. There's nothing more to it. It is punishing him for failing to cut the rates, which there's a lot of truth to that. But I'll play Powell's statement, and then we can get into sort of the rightward, 4D chest coverage from the Pat Bet David podcast. So here is Powell's statement first.
Good evening. On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned, in part, a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings. I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike. In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with integrity and a commitment to serving the American people. Thank you.
So he issues that statement, which is quite clearly written for him and probably advised through many channels of legal counsel, I have to imagine.
Yeah.
Makes that statement, which, there is probably some truth to the claim as to why there is actual investigations opened up to him, and in the claim that he just made that this is a punishment for not cutting rates. I think that is apparent, but the mainstream media, of course, 100% sides with Powell.
Of course.
This is purely just targeting. There's nothing more to it, which is funny because you hear Jake Tapper saying, how do you know? Why wasn't there an investigation going on? But in this case, that's all that there is. So I was trying to look for any sort of argument that argued, kind of for these charges being legit, just to hear the other side, because the mainstream media wasn't given it. I ended up on the Pat Bet David podcast.
Of course.
Pat Bet David. It's part of the Valuetainment network, which is just the lamest name I've ever heard in my life. But
this was the first guy to interview Fuentes when he was being introduced as the wedge in the younger Republican demographic.
That's right. That's correct. That's where I had seen him before. I've heard his stuff. It's pretty. The podcast in and of itself mostly is pretty dry, mainstream conservative-ish vibes to it. But they played the Powell statement, and then they had a guy break it down for us. Tell us what's going on here. And so that's what I'm going to play for you.
So what he did was the Fed chairman, Powell, was in front of Congress because to renovate a building an individual building, suddenly the price tag was $2.5 billion. Now, when you look at the Department of Defense, once got caught paying $6,000 for a simple hammer.
Weird.
Yeah, you know that when the government is paying for things, there's graft, there's kickbacks, there's all these allegations. I'm not saying that there was that on the Fed building, but all those allegations, usually when there's audits, really go, point bad. So last year, and the ad there it is. Federal Reserve blows $2.5 billion on Palace of Versailles headquarters. So they really got caught, Pat. This building is poorly managed.
This is embarrassing.
$2.5 billion, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
So Powell was over there, said a couple things that in Congress turned out to be not perfectly correct, but no one, including the Congressional Committee, thought that Powell was out and out lying the way, say, Minneapolis-level fraud lying. Mm-hmm. Well, Trump at the same time has been putting pressure on Powell, as has Fannie and Freddie, Bill Pulte has been pushing on Powell to lower interest rates to see if we could help the housing market a little bit or a little bit more. And Trump also wants to lower those rates for, Pat, U.S. debt is coming due, and it's going to be refinanced. He wants it refinanced at lower interest rates. So he wants the rates down. The Fed was saying no. Well, the Fed is now saying, okay, the federal investigators of doing this, and this is Powell saying, I think this is a little bit over the top considering what's going on at the Fed building, and I think they're using it to exert political pressure on me regarding interest rates. So it's not about me operating as the Fed. Suddenly, this is the president, pushing politically because he didn't like my answer, and so now he's having people investigate the building. I think there's a little of both going on, Pat, quite frankly. There is pressure on Powell to lower interest rates from the White House and from the Secretary, Bessent. There are definitely pressure, but there also is, let's face it, yet again, the American taxpayer paying 20x what they should be paying for something. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I hope it doesn't turn out the way that one of the audits of the Pentagon turned out in the early 2000s.
With a terrorist attack?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Eric Pepe pointed out like our democracy in the phrase and then says it's a republic, which reminds me that, and this is kind of irrelevant or tangent to what's going on, but I did a lot of like kind of deep dive digging into this whole democracy versus republic thing because I noticed the Constitution and the Pledge of Allegiance, neither of them recognize the United States as a democracy. In fact, the Pledge of Allegiance...
No, of course not.
We pledge allegiance to the Republic, but I was wondering, where did democracy come from? And it turns out, for over a century, Americans called their government a republic, and that century happened when they found it. The textbooks, the newspapers, everyone understood the distinction. It really occurred during World War I. Wilson started selling this war as making the world safe for democracy. This is World War I. By the 1920s, textbooks started switching terminology. By World War II, we're fighting for democracy against fascism. The Cold War cements it, democracy versus communism. In less than 50 years, we've completely memory-holed our foundational identity as a constitutional republic. The term democracy went from something the founders explicitly rejected to our defining characteristic right when mass media and government propaganda capabilities emerged. Not a coincidence. So the concept of America being a democracy is a psyop. It was a propaganda campaign for the rest of the world, and now the Democrats are saying it's a democracy.
Because do you know what falls to communism? Democracies.
Yeah. So it is directly related to a propaganda. It's a lot easier to say than democratically elected republic. You just say democracy. And the big distinction between democracy and a republic is, of course, the republic has a constitution, which the United States had. I know it's kind of a laughing stock now as far as if it's respected or not, but we still have one. So it's just really kind of funny to me that when I actually dug into when did we start using the term democracy, or when did the story of the Indians and Pilgrims come to define Thanksgiving, it's like, oh, that crumbles away. And so without a shadow of a doubt, anyone that says democracy, it has been propagandized. They've fallen for the propaganda that has become second nature now, and actually a belief where if you ask an AI chatbot, is America a republic or a democracy, it'll say, well, it's a little bit of both. And then you start asking it to dig into the origins of it and go, wow, actually, it's a republic. It was designed as a republic. But, it's a side tangent that I have. I do, when I can't sleep at night, or when I'm feeding a bottle to a baby at 4 a.m., I'm oftentimes asking AI, what about this? It's like, are all of my sacred beliefs wrong? Going on those tangents. So that one was a fun one. That was a fun discovery.
That's a good one. That's part of pulling back every scale of the dragon to examine what's underneath.
Right.
The dragon being custom.
I mean, look no further than the Federalist Papers. If it's a democracy, where is it in there? Point it to me. Point me to it.
Yeah, and the anti-federalists at times appeal to this idea that if you do give a central government power over the states, it will devolve into basically a democracy. And if you don't have a copy of the Anti-Federalist Papers, but have a copy of the Federalist Papers, I encourage you to get both.
I agree. Please do it. Read them. Learn them. Understand them.
Read them. Okay. Did you know there's a parrot crisis in Canada?
I was unaware.
Well, now you're aware. You want to learn about it?
Sure.
Okay. Well, in the animals folder, I have a setup for the parrot crisis in Canada.
Oh, do they have to kill them like the whales or whatnot?
They haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
But they're outliving their owners.
Hi, Sammy. It's snack time, and at 71 years old, it's a routine Sammy knows by heart. He came to Parrot Partners Canada after outliving his original owner, and now calls the rescue home along with 54 other aging and surrendered birds.
We get them from all walks of life all the time, and we generally get up to about 5 a week inquiries. Will you take my bird?
She says it's a crisis quietly unfolding across the country as rescues like hers struggle to keep up.
The care system is this patchwork of individual people, mostly doing it out of their homes. And they're doing it because they see that there's nobody there for them.
Okay.
That's it. That's interesting. My Uncle Bob, who passed away, had an African gray parrot named Wilbur, and I think it's projected to live another 25 to 30 years.
Yeah. I didn't know they lived that long.
Oh, yeah. They live to be like 100, 70, 80, 90. They're like tortoises. And because nothing kills them. Like, you don't see old squirrels because they get slow and die. We get a bird in a cage that's getting peanuts apparently on the hour, every hour. They live a long time.
I have one more clip here. This is, we're going to explore the issue of parrots living longer than their owners and a possible solution, which I think is a replicable solution. Not necessarily scalable, but replicable.
The issue? Parrots can live a long time, some up to 80 years. But as caregivers age out, rescues are shrinking, compounded by a shortage of avian veterinarians. And unlike cats and dogs, there's no safety net when owners can no longer care for them, even as parrots continue to be bred and sold in pet stores, some for thousands of dollars.
We're still dealing with birds that were bred in the 70s and 80s. They're still in the system, and we're still pumping out new birds.
This is April, a 30-year-old African gray who could live another 30 years. That's why the organization is testing a 3-year pilot project, the first of its kind, to see whether having a plan, a guaranteed place to go, and early support can stop the parrot crisis from worsening.
Rather than using the traditional rescue model, we're looking at it from an insurance or a pension point of view.
Under the pilot, adopters would pay a $20 monthly fee, helping cover ongoing support, education, and boarding, with the guarantee the parrot can return if it can no longer be cared for. The goal? To keep parrots in one stable place for as long as possible.
We're doing a fundraiser for it now. Mathematically, this might be what allows professional rescues to take hold.
Giving more parrots like Sammy a soft place to land well into their golden years. Caitlin Wilson, CTV News, Carlton Place.
Yeah, parrots are crazy, man. But this African gray, if you like knock on a door or on a table, my uncle's, it does my Uncle Bob identically. You couldn't tell, and probably still does to this day, whether or not it was my Uncle Bob or the parrot. You know, you go, knock, knock, come in. He lives in the panhandle of Virginia in the mountains. So
that's funny.
Yeah, but just like does it. And then you'll be sitting there randomly and it'll like break off into a scene that it remembered from years ago. And you're like, holy shit, what is he talking about? And my Uncle Bob's like, oh, I don't know. Obviously something traumatic. it is imprinted on his brain. But yeah, they're wild. So paying people to maintain the parrot?
No. You people, instead of buying a parrot and taking it home, they lease the parrot.
Oh, I see. So as opposed, okay, that's interesting. So you're
That's why I say I think it's scalable. I think you could have animal shelters adopting this model because you have so many people that, you know, they come in, they get a dog, they don't know what they're getting into, they get a cat, they don't know what they're getting into, they end up trying to bring it back or abandoning it, or it has puppies or kittens and they end up throwing them out on the highway. If there was some level of skin in the game that people had to put up on a monthly basis to keep these animals, I think it would filter some of the people out that come in and take these animals and just pay one time for them. And it would also support the establishments that are housing the animals that aren't taken.
You will own nothing and be happy. Eat the bugs, eat the bugs.
Yes. Subscription pets. That's where we are.
Well, I like that. I wish that was the craziest story that we had tonight. But alas, it is not. Is that your last clip?
No. Oh, no.
Oh.
I have 2 crime clips and a clip about Gen Z from Fox News.
Well, I had something about the Supreme Court hearing arguments about trans sports.
Well, yours first, obviously.
Okay, we'll play that one. It's really not that interesting, but
the Supreme Court will hear arguments tomorrow on state laws banning transgender athletes in girls and women's sports. These are 2 cases before the justices tomorrow. One is out of West Virginia. 15-year-old Becky Pepper Jackson is suing her home state because the law prevents her from competing on the girls' high school track and field team. A second case out of Idaho deals with a similar claim from college student Lindsay Hecox. So far, 27 states have passed laws restricting transgender athletes from participating in girls' and women's sports. CBS News chief legal correspondent Jan Crawford joins us now. So, Jan, the plaintiffs in both cases argue that banning transgender athletes violates Title IX and the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. Can you walk us through that argument?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's right, Lindsay. Critics of these laws argue that it violates the Equal Protection Clause because it's not treating transgender athletes equally. And then on Title IX, which, of course, you know, Congress passed in 1972 to require educational institutions to, you know, ensure equal opportunities for women. They say the law is clear there, that the law says you cannot, you know, deny or exclude anyone from participation because of sex. Now, on the other side, you've got Idaho, West Virginia, 25 other states, and the Trump administration. And they say that this doesn't violate the Constitution because states have an interest in ensuring that women have safe and equal playing spaces. And then on Title IX, they say they're not excluding anyone from participation on the basis of sex because under these laws, it just restricts athletes to participate based on their biological sex. So they say transgender athletes can still participate, but just in the different category.
Yeah, and that's what happened today at the hearings. Even Sotomayor was saying, you really don't have a case here because you still have a sport you can play in. Just, the one, if you have a penis, you play with the boys. And if you don't.
Well, okay, but this opens the can of worms that is separate but equal. The argument against mandating segregation in the Civil Rights Act was separate but equal.
Yeah.
Your water fountain just has water, same as mine, comes from the same source. We just don't use the same one. Your sport has the rules same as mine. We just don't use the same one.
You're a girl and you're a guy, and a woman has a vagina and XX chromosomes.
I see the difference.
So basically the argument is you have an option. Like, okay, you think you're a girl, but guess what? You still have a penis, and that makes you a man, and so you play with the men.
But that's what I'm saying. That opens the can of worms on separate but equal in civil rights law, because that was the argument of the people who didn't want forced segregation. You have an option. And wouldn't it be discrimination under civil rights law to say you have an option applies to sex but not to, quote unquote race?
Well, the unfortunate thing for their argument is the Title IX, which the whole basis of this is based on, defines sex. The male sex, female sex. So there is no discussion of gender. And so that it doesn't fly for them.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to do is to correct people who say we're having a gender reveal. No, you're not.
Did I tell you? I think I told you about the guy that's asked me what the gender of my kids are. And I was like, yeah, we say sex. And he's like, oh, yeah. They'll tell you their gender when they're older. And I'm like, no. You have gone the opposite direction.
Yeah. Get back here.
That is not what I mean. Oh, that's funny.
No, I hadn't heard that. That is funny.
Right.
Okay. Let's see. Let's do some crime stories.
Okay.
Unless you still want to talk about this transgender wrestling, which sounds awful.
I think we should fill a different topic hole.
Okay. Well, let's talk about, you've heard of the Kia boys. Have you heard of the Honda boys?
I believe they're called Japanese, but let's not forget.
Honda vehicles are now being targeted in southeast Baltimore. Thieves are stealing an expensive piece that is costing people thousands of dollars. Our Casey Baylor is live on your corner from Highlandtown. And Casey, neighbors tell you it's beyond frustrating.
Nikki, they say it's a terrible trend. If you weren't hit by one of the thieves in this neighborhood, then you probably know someone who has, and it's easy to tell. All you have to do is take a look at the front of someone's Honda vehicle. Highlandtown neighbor Corey Brewer had just hopped in the car with her daughter Monday, getting ready to take her to school until she turned her car on.
All of a sudden, the lights on the dashboard are all going off. My cruise control alert, my brake alert, my steering control.
She then looked at the front of her Honda CR-V
and realized that my whole radar is gone.
The radar sensor normally sits at the lower part of the front bumper or behind the front emblem. It operates features like cruise control and collision mitigation braking.
You can see that it's just completely ripped out. they've cut the cable.
Brewer says thieves also stole the radar sensor from her husband's Honda. She says for just one car, it's a costly fix.
I'm looking at $4,000 just for the pieces and the parts, and there's no guarantee it's not going to happen to me again.
Other neighbors on Clinton Street are going through the same trouble. In fact, Baltimore police received 8 reports of stolen radar sensors from Honda CRVs over the past 28 days across the Southeast District.
The one Honda dealership I spoke with had at least 10 calls, and this was yesterday, and had 6 cars in the shop already that they were working on.
Baltimore City Councilman Mark Parker says his office has spoken directly with BPD on their plan to track down those behind this crime. It starts with tracking data and sharing it with city and community leaders.
All the officers have been briefed in Southeast District to know what the patterns are, and doing a bunch of traffic stops and other things in the area to attempt to track down and screen for folks who might be in the area for these reasons.
And BPD has a couple of tips for you. They say if you can park your car in well-lit areas, try to secure your sensors with tamper-resistant screws. And also, this may be a bit harder for those who live in areas like this in Highlandtown, but if you can, park your car in a garage. Reporting live on your corner from Highlandtown, I'm Casey Baylor for WJZ.
You mean identifying people who may be in these neighborhoods to steal things? You mean like profiling?
Yeah. If you see something, say something. Unless what you see could be deemed as racist, then shut up. White silence is violence, unless the silence is... I don't know. What are they doing with these things?
Selling them. Back to the dealerships.
Genius. My wife's got a Honda CR-V, and I really want a fully automatic 9mm. I can't think of the name of it. An HK. So maybe I'll do that. Steal her sensor. Get 4,000. Oh, we have a shared bank account. It's not going to work. Damn it.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Though. I didn't. I hadn't heard about that. Once it'll start in Baltimore, and then it'll be a nationwide epidemic, and then Honda will release something that changes it. I can already see it happening.
Yeah. I brought it because I just wanted people to know about it in case they drive a Honda. Newer Honda, anyway, one with the sensor in the front. Now, I've got another crime story here. This one's a little more macabre, but this is about a Pennsylvania grave robber.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tanner Rouse. I'm the District Attorney of Delaware County, and we are here today because of the arrest of 34-year-old Jonathan Gerlach of Ephrata, Pennsylvania. Over the course of the last several weeks, detectives from Yeadon Borough as well as Delaware County CID became aware that from November of 2025 up until 2 days ago, January of 2026, Mount Moriah Cemetery had been burglarized by, at that point, an unknown individual. 26 separate mausoleums and or underground burial sites had been torn into
26.
and, for lack of a better word, desecrated. Investigation took place. Yeadon deserves a hell of a lot of credit on this for doing good old-fashioned police work, going through LPRs, tracking physical evidence, piecing together a suspect, cooperating with CID. We developed that suspect, we laid in wait, and we eventually watched and caught Mr. Gerlach as he desecrated yet another monument as recently as 2 days ago. He was taken into custody, search warrants were executed at his home in Ephrata, where over 100 human skeletons were recovered. And that's in part, at this point, we are still trying to figure out how many of those are complete and what exactly we are looking at. A separate storage locker was found to be in Mr. Gerlach's possession. That also was in Ephrata. We found there 8 more human remains. Very simply, detectives have recovered an awful lot of bones at this point, and we are still trying to piece together who they are, where they are from, and how many we are looking at, and it's going to be quite some time before we have a final answer.
Isn't that nuts?
100 bodies or 100 Skeletons.
Bones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. That is weird. I wonder if he saw the Jeffrey Dahmer production on Netflix and got inspired.
Well, he wasn't eating anyone.
You don't have to eat them. You could just have, Jeffrey Dahmer had a skull bowl.
Oh, is he making broth?
It was a bowl that he ate out of that was somebody's skull.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I see.
Intense stuff.
Yeah, I think he was just a freak.
Yeah. So that's
and
weird.
I mean, you're obviously mentally unwell because you keep going back and doing this. You know that you're going to get caught. So, I don't know. Just overall, a weird enough story for me to bring it and say, hey, look at this.
Well, I mean, I don't know, man. That is bizarre. I don't understand the fascination with it. I get the thrill of doing something you shouldn't do. That's why I love drinking alcohol and carrying a gun. In Roblox, of course.
Yes, of course. I'm more responsible than the mean of people.
That's right.
Okay, my last clips are about reading. And Fox News is lamenting the lack of reading skill in Gen Z. Now, I want you to pay attention to this first clip because there is a beautiful cosmic justice in a misreading of the script about being unable to read. Gen Z reading, Fox and Friends weekend.
Younger generations are falling behind as reading declines. According to a survey, last year, Gen Z read fewer books than any generation, and more than 1/3 of kindergarten through 12th grade students said they dislike reading.
A Pepperdine University professor told Fortune, quote, "It's not even an inability to critically think. It's an inability to read sentences. I feel like I'm tap dancing and having to read things aloud because there's no way that anyone read the night before."
Here with her take is Brooke Uten, co-founder of Enriched Literacy Education. Brooke, what is going on? This is terrible news.
You know, it really starts in the earliest ages, and we're seeing studies of children as early as primary school age that are unable to perform basic skills because I believe they're not being read to, they're not being spoken to in the home. Their communication skills are so much lower than children of that age, you know, even just 10, 20 years ago. One UK study reports, 600 teachers were interviewed, and they said the children don't know their names, how to use the bathroom independently, how to brush their teeth, which is really terrible. Fast forward, we have Los Angeles Unified School District, second largest school district in the United States. We have parents there saying their children are on iPads all day. One mom reports her 6-year-old wet himself at the table 4 times. He's otherwise neurotypical, does not have an issue with toileting because he was on an iPad and lost track of time and was overstimulated. So if we're replacing human interaction and reading with iPads, people aren't going to like reading. iPads are a lot more intrinsically interesting to the brain. The dopamine is lighting up.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Reading takes work.
Yeah, the first time he wet himself at the table, I thought, let's wait. Let's see what he does in the scenario.
How many times will he go?
Jeez. I haven't peed 4 times since I was 12.
Yes, good to see you again, doctor. Let's discuss my psychological fear of pissing.
Yeah. He got overstimulated on the iPad and decided to pee his pants.
Just pissed himself. 4 times.
Yes.
Now with 4 times the urine.
Yeah.
I love toileting.
I think there's a product here, and it's the monitoring the situation diaper. Boom.
Yes. Afraid something will happen.
FOMO? Wait, it would be. Let me get here. Foam. Fapamo. Fear of pissing and missing out. Was not worth the wait.
Let's not name it any. No, let's not name it anything that starts with FAP either.
Fapamo. It's like a superhero who jerks off and saves the world.
Gross. Okay. Now, I don't know if you've watched many clips of this absolute donkey of a woman on Fox Weekend, Rachel Campos Duffy. But she adds nothing of value, but she still speaks. Yeah. And listen to the narrative she tries to assert as if everyone knows this is the case. And there is a little bit of background noise, so you might have to, really focus. But I don't know, her voice has this weird kind of echo in it. I can't describe it. You'll hear it. This is more reading.
It's so interesting, and we've spent so much time talking about how that engagement with an iPhone or an iPad kind of scatters the brain and causes anxiety and things like that. But what we don't spend enough time talking about is the importance of sort of the other end of the spectrum, which is the devotion of the mind to a book or to something you're reading and learning to read, and how that actually calms the mind and focuses the mind.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of research out there about even, at the very littlest age, when we respond to our babies make a noise and we respond. That's called serve and return. That is how they develop language. And, it's interesting because going back to LAUSD, their argument for bringing technology into the classroom was this is going to level the field from a socioeconomic perspective, because children that are in underserved communities need to be tech literate. Well, actually, the research shows it has very little to do with your means in terms of the quality of the language development in your home. It has to do with how much you interact and talk to and read to your child. And now we're looking at, the New York Times this fall came out with an article, 1/3 of our high school seniors are not ready for college. They do not have a basic reading level.
Wow.
Yeah,
1/3 of our high school seniors.
It's fascinating. These tech oligarchs convinced all of the schools and the government to put these devices into the school, these iPads, and then they send their own kids to Waldorf schools with like wooden toys. It's fascinating to me, and also the fact that a lot of moms aren't reading to their children. So that's a big deal. Thank you, Brooke. It's a very important topic.
Thank you, Brooke.
I can hear it now. Conservative uncle at Thanksgiving. These elitist iPads are so addictive. Kids are pissing their pants.
Yeah, that reminds me of the they're putting litter boxes in the schools.
Exactly. This is what I thought of too. There's a kid that identifies as a cat. It's a pandemic.
Unbelievable.
It's a pandemic. Everyone's pissing their pants on the iPad.
I swear I heard him meow.
I think about that too. Like, so I'll be feeding the kids and they'll be like fussing, and we'll have the TV on YouTube, and I'm like bouncing my daughter or my son up and down, and a lot of times their eyes will go to the TV, and I'm like, oh no, should I turn this off? But they've got these creepy. Apparently, kids their age can't see color, so we have like these creepy books that are like in black and white.
Yeah, contrast books.
Oh my gosh! There's a photo, and I took a photo of it because I was like, "This is really weird." And yeah, they're contrast books, but this one is Children Smile. I'm gonna drop it into the chat room if I can. Quick, I got to get it off my phone. But it's like, I know it's technically designed for them, but it wigs me out. That's how creepy it is. Children Smile. It's just like a one photo and then the inversion of the photo, and it says Children Smile. seems propaganda-esque to me. But
that one is weird.
You see it?
Yeah. I'll tell you another one that I've noticed, and I sort of embrace the curmudgeon-y boomer thoughts when they happen. We bought a My First Bible, and Adam and Eve are engaged in miscegenation.
Miscegenation?
They're a mixed couple.
Oh, I see. Are they also wearing leaves?
They are.
See, that's,
and they're happy, which doesn't. No. They're supposed to be afraid when they're wearing leaves.
Right. You're supposed to. This book is supposed to have dong and boobs, and it has neither.
And one color. I don't care what color, but one color.
Oh, that's funny. Well, further going down this bizarre rabbit hole, Mattel recently released a new Barbie, and
oh boy,
I laughed an inappropriate amount when I first heard that.
I'm guessing it's not Trad Wife Barbie.
It's not Trad Wife Barbie. It's not bad. It's good. I guess it's good that this community has representation. But I mean, this is just going to get smoked on the internet. Like the Twitter comments. The Twitter comments are going to be awful. So without further ado, here's Mattel's newest Barbie.
The first ever autistic Barbie has made its debut. Thanks.
Autistic Barbie? Here, wait till you hear about what it features.
Toy maker Mattel. The new doll was developed over the course of 18 months in partnership with advocates from the autism community. It was not a straightforward task, given that autism encompasses many different behaviors, some of which are not obvious. The doll is unique, as the wrists and elbows can move in a way that features stimming, hand flapping, and other gestures.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it can flap its arms like the retarded kid you went to school with.
Another subtle feature is the doll is designed with an eye gaze which is slightly shifted, reflecting how some members of the autistic community might avoid direct eye contact. There is also a pink fidget spinner, noise-canceling headphones, and a pink tablet, all of which model common devices people with autism use. The whole goal of the doll is to highlight diversity and promote inclusion and understanding through play. To mark the occasion, more than 1,000 autistic Barbie dolls will be donated to children's hospitals in the U.S. that provide specialized services for children on the autism spectrum.
That's right. Fidget spinner, noise-canceling headphones, and an iPad. So there might be something to that last report about Gen Z and pissing their pants. They can't read. That's not a problem. They're just autistic.
You can't read. You can't toilet. What can you do, kid?
You can listen to the Millennial Media Offensive every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Central. We might make fun of you.
I can stem.
I can wave its arms back and forth, like that weird kid at the bus stop.
Introducing Mattel's new line of Barbie. Fun on the spectrum.
Mattel just released their newest Barbie, combative communist lesbian Barbie.
Pull the string to hear her say, "I'm not mad."
I'm not mad at you, bro. Yeah. It's a weird world, folks. It's very weird out there.
Oh, boy.
Everything lame is now cool, and everything cool is now racist and misogynistic.
Yep, that's just the way it goes.
That's right.
It's called getting older, I guess.
I guess. We are the boomers now. The Captain Phillips meme.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope not. I hope we're still cool in some semblance of the word.
You know, Dan, as long as you're having fun, you can tell yourself you're cool.
You know, and I think that's what we do have fun here.
We do have fun.
We are barreling to World War III, and we're just laughing.
Yeah.
Laugh,
We got
smiling at
Barbie
the
on
ring.
the spectrum. I mean, what do you expect us to do?
Barbie on the spectrum. Ken's my boyfriend. Sorry.
We also have Dan on the spectrum.
What, We asked our autistic Barbie how she thought about the war in Ukraine. And her thoughts were...
I hear you trying to turn it up. I
She
think everybody can
likes
hear it.
turtles. Very good, autistic Barbie.
Which is somehow a political point.
Somehow indeed. But from St. Louis, Missouri, I have been Dan Gehring.
And from somewhere in the world, I've been John G. Dew.
And somewhere in the world we shall remain. If your kid brings home an iPad, shoot it with that one you keep in the chamber. Or not. Just read to your kid. Just pay attention to your children, folks. Everything will be fine. MMO, out. And that's a podcast. That was a fun one.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually hate these weeks where there's so much bloviating about major events that you don't get a good spread of topics unless you really spend time digging. But yeah, I thought it was fine. I thought it was a good episode.
Mr. Feeney didn't, he got nuked with the power outage, or with the internet outage.
No title list?
No title list, so I'll upload a title list after the end of the show. Okay. Oh, thank you, Serpent. Much appreciated. I think we captured some of the earlier titles, so I can query Feeney for that. Monitoring the situation. The situation never ends. Jumping the shark and topic hole are all what made it in there before Mr. Feeney got nuked. But there were some definite good ones that came later. The topic hole.
I'm searching title, Control F on the chat. We've got Snowgadishu, Ice Pack, I've Been Mad, Hopped Up on Marijuana, 44D Chess, John Bongino, Boomer Coated, Batgirl Summer, Communist Gobbledygook, Power of the Box and the Beard. Tehran Fluence.
That's good.
Fat and Fine. Randall Adam Feinstein. Power of the Roblox. I don't know why I'm so tickled. Parrot Pension. Subscription Pets. Transgender Wrestling. Less Fewer Books. Toileting. Autistic Barbie. That's it.
Man, I feel like an autistic Barbie sometime. Did you see we got an art submission from Eli the Coffee Guy?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, ooh, this is cool. Say his S all over. Say his name. Abdul S all over. Oh, all right. Serpent. Yeah, Serpent just uploaded that list. Thank you, Serpent. of all of those. So, John Bongino. So stupid.
I don't love any of the art tonight.
I thought Eli's was good. I haven't seen Chuckums. Or Wolf, sorry. That's the only name we know him by. Riot Art. MMO. So I will say, Wolf did. He put a message in the show. He's like, "You guys better." What was the term he used? You nerds better stretch. This art is ass. So he's like, "I'm not making anything good." It is good. It's not bad. It's just, I thought Eli's was fine.
If he had put Ice Ice Baby on the treadmill instead of MMO, it would have been really funny.
So I'm uploading Wolf's here. There's 5 of them in total. And then I'll upload Eli the Coffee Guys.
My only gripe with Eli's is that if someone sees it, they're going to think, oh, these guys are just talking about this. But I do like it aesthetically. Got a very punk theme.
Yeah, I think it's fun. And Iceland is the Russia flag. Like, so you think about it. He's got blue hair. He's in this liberal Minnesota school, breaking pencils. And what would they have on the wall? That we want Greenland to go to Russia. It's good. It's a good piece of art. I like it.
Okay, I say we do it.
All right. Wolf, your streak has been broken. We are going with Eli the Coffee Guy. And it's not just because he is the person that has been keeping me sane through his product. Eli is probably the greatest dealer I've ever had. And the drug is completely legal. So thank you.
Yep.
Millennial and media and offensive, everything spelt right. Somali Leering Center. Yeah, I get what you're saying with it seems a bit old, but at the same time, I like it. The real ones will know. It's the hipster in you that's worried. Like, oh, these guys are so behind the time. I see you. I hear you.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, what are we doing for title?
I don't know. I got tickled at so many of them.
Monitoring the situation topical, Snogadishu, Ice Pack. I've been mad. Hopped up on marijuana. 40/40 chest. John Bongino is just funny. Boomer Coated, Fat Girl Summer, Power of the Box and the Beard. Tehran Fluence.
I think the box and the beard is pretty good.
The box and the beard. Separate powers fighting separate demographics together. The box and the beard. A woman could be both a beard and... Yeah. Less fewer books is Trash Man's boat. I like the box and the beard as well. Thus, 202 is the box and the beard. And Eli is the artist. What other variables can we change here? Oh. Do you want to hear a clip on YouTube? John, either?
Yeah, I'm here.
So I came across this clip, and I just want you to listen to it. This was John C. Dvorak on Grimerica podcast, and this is the key to podcasting success. You got to hear this and just tell me what you think.
It has to be something they can't get anyplace else. It's either some sort of information or personalities that people think are great or whatever. That's how you are successful. Most podcasts, because I listen to podcasts, most podcasts are regurgitated Democrat talking points, it seems to me, or worse. They're just or guys are just shooting the shit like you would get at a bowling alley. Then they're not interesting. I mean, our podcast, even though it's produced on the fly as kind of performance art, changes the topic once in a while. I mean, we do a topic for 10 minutes. We think we've overdone it. I've listened to podcasts where they'll take one subject that we might do for 10 minutes, and they'll spend an hour and a half hashing it over. Oh, and they talk about it over.
What podcast do you think he just happens to listen to where they talk about topics that NA would talk about and hash them over for an hour and a half?
I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
I saw that clip, and I was like, oh, my God. That's... Oh, right? Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
That Dvorak listens to our show?
No, that he has listened to the show and said, oh, they're talking about this for way too long.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would be nice if he would reach out and say, hey, I think you're messing up here.
Yeah.
But he's not going to do that.
No, that's funny. We're stealing food out of his mouth, John. You got to realize that's the mentality. Oh, I just thought that was hilarious. When I read that, I thought that, the ego immediately goes to, he's talking about us. Jesus.
Yeah.